Huh? Who?
Men.
I think so. Like,
Yeah,
it's all about
they changed the rules.
So it's more equal.
It's equality. Jake.
equality. Jack.
Jack.
Almost called him Jake.
Jack. Always call him Jake. No, balance is boring.
Balance is boring.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
Really.
I'm excited.
Can we buff ravens? And liberators?
Buff ravens.
And Vikings.
Aren't they already a problem?
Yeah.
And reduce
Okay.
impact research time.
I think that should be like actually a thing.
Make
but
barracks
it's
build
not.
faster.
It's only 3 minutes, man.
We
I'm
will
only-
we will do questions on stream at some point, but we'll start with the discussion. Well, actually, we can
Come
start.
on, come on, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't like quote everybody.
You just tag 5 people.
Yeah, the one that matters.
Okay. So let's start the discussion with
I didn't.
You did?
everyone's
Everyone.
names, I guess. We'll start with Juan.
My name is Juan.
And then we'll go to Ilias.
My name is Elias.
And then we'll-
Stefano.
And then we'll go to Mikolaj.
Zerg.
I'm Zerg player from Poland.
Hello, Miko.
Alright, now we're going to Mark.
Nicola.
You have to speak up, like I think you're quiet.
My name is Mark.
Okay.
Maybe you can boost the mic.
I'm
on
Adrian.
the stream, no?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
even more.
I'm Sasha.
And I'm Theo.
Tails?
Dale.
Alright.
Theo.
Did
You're
you boost the mic on the?
You have to introduce yourself, Jack.
Try to
Yeah,
boost on the
just-
And
stream.
I'm Jake. Can you guys hear us okay? Like. What?
Looks like a sick vlog. Ulan Drogo. My name is Theo.
Sounds great. Alright, so let's start with the discussion. How do we feel that the balance of ZVP in general right now?
CVP?
Yeah, like the state of the game, how it happen, how it works, kind of like the early game to mid game and to late game.
I
I think
actually,
we should let Miko start on this one because
I mean,
he's
Start
really.
with the Protoss player.
Yeah, start with
I
Drogo.
can make a statement that's not gonna be a balance winding, just how it changed as a perspective, like from a Protoss player. Something I wrote about like the developers, like you know, with the Mothership core, a solid amount of games that like Nib would win. Just you take a third base, you make probes pretty much constantly, you make 2 Oracle, and then you just kind of win, making Immortal and Storm. That will be like a lot of games. And now what changed compared to this before is that the step where you're just like, oh, I take a third and I just make a lot of probes, it's kind of hard to do. You have to be a lot more careful compared to before. Like with the Mothership core, it was kind of hard to die.
Mm-hmm.
To check out try. Now you need to really be proactive, and really often we see Protoss dying just because they kind of like made a misstep in what's identifying what the Zerg was doing, since they need to be a lot more careful what they do. So I think right now like that's what the problem is. Like there's a lot of dirty stuff that Protoss can do. Same for Zerg. But in general it feels like mistakes are punished a lot more, so that's why Protoss are losing more.
Are you still losing as much since the Hydra was changed?
Well, with the Idol Exchange, it was, I mean, maybe less, but like the Idol Exchange was really, like, the Idolisk was very stupid. So just like you make fast layer, you make Idolisk, you counter whatever the Protoss is doing, then you counter attack on win. The part where you just counter on win really triggered me.
I
And,
think,
it happened really often.
I
and
think
I'm
we're
really
being
glad
a
it's done.
little bit dishonest to say that you can't hold those builds, especially now with the change to Hydras is really, really big. Like there's a 3-minute.
Like I'm not saying you can't hold this, I'm saying you have to be a lot more careful.
I think that's how the game should.
But that's part of the game, right?
Exactly.
Being careful and
like
trying to
like
make the least
Zerg
mistake
are saying that,
possible.
like Zerg are saying no, it's finally balanced. And you have to say like, is it finally balanced? When you look at the win rate, it seems like it's a little bit too hard for Protoss to hold of this thing. Like maybe it's actually okay.
To hold what?
Like a lot of stuff. Like
Right now?
like if you compare the way a Protoss would probe right now.
Yeah, but you
And
saying it
before
was
the
too
Mothership
simple
core.
back then, right? Way too simple and too easy.
I'm
Like-
saying that to be nice to you.
Yeah. But it was the case. Right now, there's a bit of effort and thinking before a decision. Like, do I probe? I need to make sure that my opponent is not all-inning me, which is the case for every race, basically, no? Like, Azure can just keep joining and be like, oh shit, he's all-inning me.
I mean, like it's
Yeah.
very much a Zerg. It's very much a Zerg thing. When you Terran, you pretty much will make SCVs constantly, and when you Protoss, until 44, you make probes constantly.
Yeah.
Like it's only when you take the third that you're like, okay, maybe now I need to make probes. Like it's a new thing. I mean, new. It's kind of new in PvZ at least, and it just makes it so that it's really hard. So that's why now you see like a lot of Protoss going for pressure because it makes the game a lot simpler. You know, like you
Yeah.
do your build on 2 base, then you take a third, then you do this. But in general, I haven't seen like a pressure that really convinced me yet.
But I feel like it's statu quo because like you don't actually do damage, but you force the Zerg to not make drones, and in the end, the situation is kind of even. So you don't have a lot of probes. The Zerg don't have a lot of drones.
Okay.
You have a third base, as the Zerg has a third base.
Okay, I mean, like, I just wanted to make my statement. Then anybody can say what they
I
want,
think,
you know?
okay, So from this statement, I think that the way the game is changing in the favor of like not just being able to take an expansion and defend it, which is what you were saying before, it's a lot easier to do that. Correct? You're saying it was a lot easier to take an expansion.
I'm saying
and defend
Protoss
it?
got a lot harder to play. Yes.
I think it'll just take time to get used to it though. Like right after Mothership Core is removed for a couple months, when you have to deal with the builds for the first while, it takes a while to learn to defend it. But don't you think? What?
No way, I'm
Don't
Hey,
you think like
Nicolaj is so red.
I agree.
you have the
It's
ability?
the anger going on.
Wait, don't you think you have? Sorry. You have,
Hey,
He's trying to hold it.
let's have some.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine.
We're sending this directly to
Breathe, man,
the
breathe.
Blizzard peeps.
It's gonna be
So
okay.
I'm waiting for you guys to finish.
Splash him cold
I
water
mean,
on the
like
face. or
we
something.
this can go on for a while. Like I had like 3 minutes of talk uninterrupted. If you want to talk, just go ahead.
I was saying something.
I mean, like yeah, you
let's
just go
listen to
ahead.
Sasha's.
Yeah.
I was saying like, isn't there the ability to defend though? Like if you open Stargate with Oracle and Phoenix, you can really scout everything, so it's definitely possible to
Yeah,
defend.
like the part where you can scout everything with Oracle and Phoenix, I feel like it's kind of not a myth, but way overrated. And I think we see Protoss dying a lot. Really good Protosses, and you should kind of justify that. Like think about it like this:
Okay.
with Oracle, you can be like, sure, I can fly around, but an Oracle, like has shields, and every time you want, like shield is kind of a resources, and every time you back to having shields, you kind of want to kill drones with that shield,
Yeah.
you know. If you just fly around for the only purpose of scouting, and the guy is not doing anything in particular, you probably like lost like 2 or 3 drones potential, you know, to kill stuff.
There's always a price to
Yeah.
pay, like for scouting. If we scout with Zerglings, we'll have actually less drones because we're using Zerglings to
Or
scout.
if we sack an
If you-
Overlord, we lose an Overlord.
Yeah, there's always a price to pay. Like you can't expect to have the information for free, right?
like I know, like obviously Zerg will say that.
Yeah.
Or like maybe it's fine, but like the only like in terms of design, not bad. Is it like in terms of balance? Is it balanced or not? Like we have to look at the situation. What's ended up happening? Like sure, like I think it's a fine concept that you actually like have to choose between harassing and scouting. It can be pretty neat, but
I
like,
don't think-
it's just in practice.
I don't think there's anything for that Protoss can't do to defend something, and like I don't think there's anything that's indefensible.
Yes.
So
Very nice.
I think the way the game's going right now, yes, it's harder to play, but I think it's going the right direction for the game in general. Like enjoyment wise, just the way the game is played out,
I
it
w-
seems
I
a
would-
lot more. Decision making is much more important. You can't just probe infinitely. The game is much different.
It's
I feel-
also
Oh, go ahead.
it's also same with Zerg right now. Like we can't. People just used to open straight Hydra like almost every game, and that's not viable anymore. Like it takes 3 minutes before they're good at defending.
I mean, some people still do that.
yeah, but it's not safe at all.
I mean,
Okay, let's
Some
move
people
on
do.
from this discussion specifically, or this.
Mhm.
Like the early game of Protoss, I think has changed a lot, but I do think we need a little bit more time before any major changes to like the way that Protoss defends.
at the very least, until this year is over, am I right?
Well, what do you
Sorry.
want? You want? I'm just out of
That
curiosity.
sounded way more sarcastic than intended.
Out of curiosity, now, would you prefer the Mothership come back? Mothership 4 come
Well,
back?
no, like the Mothership core being gone design-wise is a pretty good decision, I think. Like, I don't think anybody like is gonna argue the contrary. I think it's fun that the Mothership core is not here anymore. It's just
Yeah.
you know,
I think we just need to give it time, honestly.
like honestly, like design-wise, I feel like the matchup is great. Honestly, we see a lot of diversity. Like okay, it was kind of a meme, but like Zerg actually has really aggressive stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
No, like the only like I'm not arguing like is it bad or good. Like design wise, it's really good. Like just strictly of balance, is that too powerful or not powerful enough? And that like I can't really give a convincing answer to you guys.
I agree. Okay, Miko. I know you've been holding something in. Would you like
I
to
mean-
put your opinion on this?
I mean, after the patch, I don't think Protoss has any problems at all, to be honest.
Defending
Like,
wise?
yeah, because Hydras were a problem, right?
Yes.
Before.
I like the.
because
No, they
before-
were a problem. They were a problem. Like we
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
admit it. It
I
was
mean,
bullshit.
It was problem, yeah.
Yeah.
But there were still counters to it. It wasn't like unbeatable,
I agree.
right? But okay.
But you
They
had
deserve
the
better.
problem with
They
that. The
deserve
problem with
better.
before is I think that you had to go out of your way to counter that
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you did that and they didn't do like what you were expecting, you're just
yeah,
behind
yeah,
or
I mean,
whatever.
Protoss had to play good.
Protoss had to go away.
yeah,
Protoss had to go.
play good. But okay. The nerf hit Zerg quite, I think, harder than
Intended.
it should be. Because not only that, they increased the amount of time to get the upgrade by 2. Which is like total kills all the timings, right?
And the cost.
and the cost by 50-50, but the timings are dead, totally dead with
I think-
Hydras.
Yeah, expanding on this
I
point, I
mean-
think one of the unintentional nerfs is the Hydra defensively is way worse now.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
I
I
mean, Hydras defensively were way too strong, that's for sure, because all you, as Zerg, you could go Hydras every game. You couldn't die to almost anything, besides like Charlotte all in, some
Or
other
depths
all-ins.
or whatever, but yeah.
But most of the time, if you played correctly or like you mixed the build orders, you could survive as Zerg. But right now, we cannot have Hydras, right? It's impossible to open Hydras, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can, of course.
I would disagree
No,
with that.
I agree. I agree with Miko. If you're going like really fast Hydra or something, like people used to go like 2-base Hydra defensively into
Yeah,
like a
like-
3rd base or something.
But that's about
completely
two
wrong.
base, that's what I was
It's
mean.
just like adaptation. Like we can't go straight forward to a Hydras, but with
If-
scouts you make a bailing less, and you can make Hydras, and you are sure to be safe now.
If you're
Kinda.
using Hydras defensively against an all-in, I think you die. 100%.
Yeah, no, you can't open Hydra straight away. You can't. Like blindly.
that was
you
what
Yeah,
can-
Miko
no,
was saying.
yeah, you cannot do it blindly anymore. Like you cannot just open Hydras without
Yes.
scout or anything.
But
else.
it's not necessary, is it?
Well, that's the thing. So now we go banings or roaches, right? That's the main openings. You go like
Right.
roach openings, roach pressures, roach all-ins, stuff like this, or banning defensive into Hydra.
Mhm.
But it's all quite like not the same level as Hydra openings at all.
Yes.
Like it's all worse.
So
Way worse.
what exactly are you arguing? Like, what is your proposition for this change? Like, do you think it's too strong or too bitch of a nerf?
Like
or
the
like what?
nerf was such a bitch. Yeah.
So like, what would you do to counteract what you're suggesting, and how would that not make that
Like the
race
thing was
imbalance?
when we were talking on the balance with the balance team and stuff like this, we thought, okay, nerf Hydras is too strong, right?
Mhm.
But give Zerg other options. Like I don't know what or how. Or I don't know, decrease the build time of Baning Nest by a couple seconds. Like whatever, but give us some option to open differently
I mean,
than
like,
Hydra.
We're supposed to be proposing
Yeah.
something to
I
them.
think right now, Mutas and Stormwest are both basically useless in every matchup except ZVZ.
In PvZ you can make Mutalisk.
Yeah,
in a lot
mutas
of-
are good in PvP.
You can make
Sometimes.
Mutalisk in a lot of situations in PvZ.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
so.
they're
I think-
very rarely good.
Yeah, at some point when you decide you're going to be building mutas or whatever, you're either way ahead already, or
You have to
you're
rely on them.
trying to
Or
find a way to
you,
fall
you know
behind.
you'd make them in a situation where they're powerful.
You have to rely on them. Either if they don't open Stargate, they can be
Exactly.
good,
That's
or
mostly
if they just don't see the Spire and they have like it's like 2.5 minutes Protoss has to scout it, and if they don't scout it, then it's.
I think the
it's
shield
It's
good.
very
battery.
easy to make something else if it's got the
Yeah.
Spire super early.
Like
I mean-
for example, some players play Lurker, will drops. You need
Yeah.
oracles at home to attack the army, and if the Phoenix in position to catch the Overlord dropping, if you have a Spire building at home, I can't possibly see it. And I'm building Immortals and Zealots, and then Mutas show up.
And like,
And I just
I'm
die.
not even gonna speak, you know, like on the theoretical aspect or like in my experience. I'm just gonna like when I watch Stats play, he plays versus a lot of Mutalisk. Like players beg that a lot. I'm not saying it's too powerful anyway, but the people that play for a lot of Mutalisk, they're here.
You mean like mass meta?
Yeah, like I mean, some Mutalisk, sometimes Mass Muta, like like I think it's very much still alive as a unit because sometimes you know when you play like a Protoss that will make 3 Oracle, 2 Orbos really fast, like Mutalisk can be very interesting. Like they're not gonna be always good, I agree, but they can still. I feel like they still have a place in the matchup. I feel like Olivine Trash, like for example, the Swarmos is pretty dead. I haven't seen a Swarmos in forever. I think it's a really dead unit in PvZ.
I think it's a
But
really
Like,
good unit.
the
in general.
game is dead.
Yeah.
In the whole
I don't think
game.
we see it even in
No,
against
no.
mech really.
No, no.
No, okay, the turn is waking up.
Stormwest?
Go.
No.
Okay,
keep on
wait,
making them
before,
against me.
before we move on to the Terran matchup, let's talk about ZVP specifically, and then we'll move into Terran. So I do believe that the Swarmos is pretty much irrelevant to ZVP. I don't know what we could do to really change that,
No.
but
Like few days ago, some players in the Protoss chat were complaining that on Blackwater, Swarmos were effective, but personally,
That's a very
I-
specific situation.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
that's
like,
very map specific.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, I agree.
I
Swarmos are pretty
agree.
bad.
I think that there isn't much diversity when it comes to the unit composition for Zerg. I think that's the initial point, right?
Like right now, everyone goes Lurker almost every game. I don't think there's
Fine.
any other viable options.
Like you can go for Hydra Bane if you open to Orbo, for example. I think
Yeah,
it's
if you
pretty
see no
decent.
storm, but you cannot. I mean, because you usually open with Templar Archives anyway, right? Most of
Yes.
the time, Archon.
Yeah, like you can do Archon drop in.
And now
pretty
going
much-
into Hydra Bane,
It's so
if you
risky.
don't know it's storm, like sure I will play it if I know my opponent doesn't like storm for some reason, but that's it. Like usually you need to go lurker.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, I agree. I really don't think there's much deviation even mid game, like you see the difference between roaches and hydroling bane or something, but like really, there isn't much deviation. Certainly, we don't see mutas often. Like it's certainly not a real like percentage chance of mutas per game. Is like what? How many times? How many games?
Honestly, like I don't want to go that way, but if you compare Protoss to Zerg, Zerg has a lot more deviation than Protoss. Protoss has one viable composition, whereas Zerg can go Hydra Bane depending on what the guy does. He can go Lurker. You can be super aggressive.
Protoss' composition has almost one of everything. Like they have your Immortals, you have your Archons, you have your Storm, you have your Zealots, you have your Depths. We have Roaches and Hydras, or Hydras and Banelings, or
Hydras and Lurkers.
I mean,
Hydras
no matter how
and
you
Lurkers.
try to, like, if you are trying to play that game, like, again, it's design-wise, you know? Like, you're talking about design, and it's not really what I want to argue, like, I'm not a designer, but Protoss has one army. Zerg has more units than
I
Protoss,
think
its composition.
If we
which
want to
is
talk
like this.
about the biggest problem in the matchup,
Oh.
is Protoss is strong early game with harass and they have their all-ins they can do, but after that, like you can't really attack with Protoss from like the early mid game until you have a late game army, and like Zerg is really strong then, but when it gets late game, like Zerg is very bad. So there's like a big period, like the early game, it's like both players can do things right now, but then Zerg has a long period where they have a big advantage, and Protoss is just turtle with 4 or 5 base. And then there's a long period like after that where Protoss just has a big edge. And I think it would be good if it was balanced out both the situations. So Protoss had a bit more, like they could move it on the map in like the mid game, and then Zerg had a better chance of fighting the late game Protoss.
I mean, in general, I agree. Like,
So that's the solution to that.
Yeah,
what do you do, like,
what are we-
But I think
What are we
Siege up,
proposing?
And you Protoss can't leave.
I'm not proposing anything. I just think that.
Yeah, but we had to try to find solutions as well, right? A little bit.
I'm just saying, bringing up that I think that's the biggest problem in the matchup. I'm not bringing up a solution.
Yeah.
And no one disagrees with that.
I mean, like, you could try to nitpick, but I feel like I don't disagree if it's enough to really disagree with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I agree with the sentiment, like, overall.
Okay. So does anyone else have any interesting comments on ZVP changes? Any propositions? Anything?
I mean, like, I guess the other thing, like, we accepted it so much that we don't question it anymore. But Protoss, like, used to be able to go Twilight Robo or, like, DT drop, you know, this kind of build. Or now, like, I feel like you pretty much have to open Stargates. Opening anything else is kind of gimmicky. And
I think Dark Templar drop might start getting good again, no? As the Hydra openings
I
are out.
think it's still.
I think it's still very utilized. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to believe you guys.
But like,
but
what
I just-
would you
Like
suggest?
Zest and Deer are still using in tournament.
Yeah,
play.
what would you
Yeah,
suggest to
that's-
change to? Like spore crawlers taking longer to build or something? Like I really don't see what
Someone
you could
said
change
one
to make
No, I
that.
did not.
It's mostly the
suggest.
overall, I think. Like, it gets there so fast to your base, you can see everything.
I mean, yeah, there's that, and also like there's the fact that if we don't make an oracle early on, we can die to a lot of stuff. Like I love to tell this anecdote, but I mean, like you won against SOS with really early stuff purely because the guy like missed a unit with his phoenixes. Imagine if he wasn't going Stargates, how hard it would be to hold. Like I'm not even sure if you.
I mean,
can.
then you would have a robo or something else. It's not
Like-
just like he doesn't make the.
If
tech
you make
structure.
ODT drop, you're 100% dead, for example.
Yeah.
So
To
what?
any kind of all-in. Any kind of all-in. Like even before the patch, since we are cutting the Mothership core, you would always die to any all-in if you're going DT
If
drop.
you have, I mean, if you get TTs quick enough, you would be able to defend every
No.
all in.
No.
Like
if-
Binding
You do
Bus,
not get
Binding
DT
Bus,
quick
all
enough,
the
my
If you
friend.
can get them quick
yeah,
enough,
Roach,
that's what I said.
Roach all in a bending line kills it. If you like know from the start of the game.
I
you're gonna
still
do it.
don't see what we're proposing.
Well, it's just how it is. You have to open Stargate every game, and maybe at some point the fans are gonna get tired of it. Like, why can't we open for something else, you know? And even with Stargates, sometimes you die if you don't scout it immediately. Like, it's kind of stupid. Like, it's really binary. Like, if you see the all incoming, you can almost 100% hold it. But like, if your adept like doesn't see like barely the full zergling too many or stuff like that, you can easily die. I don't know. I feel like it's really.
But I don't see what's the issue in like opening Stargate. Like it gives you the information, it denies the information for the opponent, and you can have a bit of harassment.
Yeah, like going Stargate is great. It's just the fact that we have to open Stargate every game.
Yeah,
that
but
some
after
people might find
Stargate you
boring.
can do whatever you want.
Sure.
Just like Stargate, maybe it is
Sure.
forced. It's the case, yeah, but
It's kind of like building a
like
roach
you
for
can,
in
like
every
you
game.
say, second choice is anything you want, and the
not die.
game.
I'm just saying, like we have to build something to defend ourselves, and then we go into what we want to go into.
Like it's purely design, you know. Like you guys think it's fine, but like if someone like if a lot of fans were coming up to me like I hate PvZ because it's always Stargate every game, the early game is always the same, I would not be like strongly disagreeing. I would be like, yeah, we kind of have to open Stargate every game. Maybe.
I don't see what the problem is. It's like against Terran you have to open, I guess, with one adept and go scout with it. Against Zerg, you have to open Stargate and
yeah,
to be
like,
safe and be able to scout.
If I want to compare it against Terran, I make one adept and then behind it I can go Robo Twilight to Stargate. Like
Yeah, but like you're not really behind it. Like you're behind in the tech, but you're not behind in the information. And the Zerg
Yeah, like,
has to get behind.
I'm
on
not
it as
talking
well.
like from like a balanced perspective. It's like exactly from like maybe that might be a problem just because we only have like one technology. Like I'm not saying like
No, one opening into whatever technology you want.
Yeah, because when the game goes longer, the game differentiates. Yes.
Yeah.
Just like
Okay. So let's move on. Do we have anything else to add to ZVP?
Yeah, late game is bullshit.
you win all the time.
No. Like late game, like already carriers makes like every PC lag. You can't actually micro the fights. Like even on the best PCs.
Wait, so RPC specifically, or
No, like
all
even
PCs?
here off stream, like I can't handle the late game fights because it's lagging too much when you have like 16, 18
My
carriers.
point is it our PCs or is it all PCs?
No, like any PC I played on, like at some point with the storms and the fungals and the
Ah.
carriers and the interceptors and all of that, like it gets way too fucking messy.
I don't know, like I don't know.
No, but
about
for you,
guys.
secondary click, so it's no problem. But for
No.
me, on my side, like I'm trying to move my
Like,
units and it's impossible.
Like I don't remember. Are you playing in low graphics?
Huh?
Are you?
Yeah,
playing?
low graphics.
That's
Everything is
weird.
low.
Like I was like, I literally never had any problem with that.
I don't know. And I have no problem, I guess, like with Protoss in early, mid game. For me, it's like it seems like all good. Like we can take damage early on. They can scout. They can take for they like. I see no problem at all. It's just like the late game situation. When we get there, I feel like Zerg has way less options and mostly feedbacks. Like on Vipers is completely denied. You're not allowed to have feedbacks.
Well, I think that's what I was saying earlier, like late game.
Yeah.
But before that, like Protoss can.
But it's the same case. Like I feel like against Terran, like Zerg late game is way too strong until they get like the ultimate late
But
game.
there's like 5-6 minutes where they just can't attack into lurkers if you make lurkers.
Yeah.
Like there's
yeah.
just nothing they can do. They have to just sit there and make sky toss.
Yeah. But they can get there, right? You can't really attack into the Protoss with lurkers. Like you
can,
just
you
you
can
siege.
prevent it. Like you can you watch Serral against Showtime.
Yeah.
Like Serral was super active with the corruptors, sniping stars.
Yeah, but that was a very specific game. Like the
It
game was
happens
like
very
starting
often.
from behind.
It
No,
happens
the
very
same thing
often.
happened when I played Zestin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's possible, but yeah, I think Zerg is too strong for a bit, then Protoss is too strong after that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move in. Let's bring in some of the Terrans. We got our boys here.
Yay.
Hello guys.
TVP?
Don't Juan.
Do you want to talk about
TVP,
TVP?
TVP start.
Let's talk about TVP. Let's get
Let's
this Zergs to break.
Oh, let's.
So we're gentlemen, I don't think. Oh, I mean, you go ahead.
No,
sorry.
you can talk.
I talk too much. I talk too much anyway.
Thank
Go, Mark.
you, Carabin42, for the subscription, buddy.
Thank
We appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
감사합니다.
Yeah, he's getting all the money, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you may continue.
I mean, no, like go, Mark. I mean,
We're getting dinner from the donations, right?
Yeah,
There's
but that's
$0.
not
you're much
donations.
better than me.
I don't have any specific to
Can we
say.
get some donations?
Camera.
We're not eating, guys.
So what?
So
Come
who
on,
are we
Mark.
starting with?
Mark.
Alright, Mark. You're the opening statement in TVP balance.
No curse words.
Where to
curse word?
start?
No curse words.
Where
Where
to
to
start?
start?
Come on.
Yeah.
Pull up the notepad.
Can't think of anything.
Can't think of anything?
No.
As a starter, you mean? There's so much to speak about, you mean, or what?
No, like
There's
it's-
nothing to talk about for Terran vs Protoss?
Yeah, there is, but I need some time.
Maybe like I can
Go
say
ahead.
stuff, and
Yeah.
when you
Alright,
get
let's
triggered,
start.
you.
Yeah.
you.
Sure.
I mean,
Start
like
with Tower.
I'm gonna fuck up because, like for me, it's
What
very
happens?
weird to talk about TVP because I absolutely suck dick at the matchup, like really, really badly. So if it was only up to me, I would just be like whining all day. But when you watch, for example, I think the series everybody had this in mind is Zest's Innovation. It looked really easy for Zest. It was a kind of series where I was like, okay, maybe Protoss is a bit too strong. Now, one thing to remember is that Zest kind of got lucky with the openings. Like when he went for Phoenixes, like Zest just threw 2 aliens and a Widowmine drop into him, did nothing. And when he went for 3CC, like Zest was immediately going for robotics, which is what you want. Like when you go Stargate and it's got 3CC, you go immediately back into Colossus. And so yeah, Zest got a bit lucky, but nonetheless he kind of destroyed Innovation
Yeah.
really easily, and that looked really one-sided. And I wish I could do the same in my games. So yeah, like I think maybe Protoss is a bit too strong against Terran, but no, not too much.
I think
Just a little bit.
part of the reason that happened is like that's an all-in build that Innovation did. It was like
Yeah.
similar game, like the mid game was just a mid game all-in, and Terran have been doing that for like a month. So
But yeah, like I don't understand because like every Terran I play, it's either like 2 base all in, or they make a fast CC, then they all in you anyway.
With like 45 SCs.
Yeah, like it's very rare to play like a Terran that tries to go for a bit longer, but I think that's very telling, you know. Like when they never try to play for the later game, it's maybe that the later game is a bit too hard.
This all my games too. Like even if I play against the worst Protoss, whenever the game goes too long, it becomes too hard. Like even if the Protoss is like 600 or more below me, I kind of still want to kill him. Like even if I do 3cc, I will cut it at most like 55 SCVs, because if it goes to more, I really need a lead to win. Like the units start trading worse and worse, especially since Protoss has better upgrades. And when there's one armor difference, the bio becomes really bad as well. And with the Guardian Shield, like if the army is too big, the Terran can really win any fights. Like it's really possible to go 180 against 180 supply, and Terran has like 100 left against 170. Like the longer the game goes, the more the Protoss really owns the Terran army. So, like you really want to hit before there's a lot of Colossus or a lot of upgrades. Like Storm is already like, if you see their Storm, you're already kind of sad. Or if they have more than 2 Colossus, you're also kind of sad. Which is also, you know, the Zest against Innovation game, I have to say, Zest got a bit lucky with the build orders. But it also shows that there's a problem, because if you go 3cc, it used to be good against Robo. Like back in the day, 3C was good against Robo. But now, because the Colossus shred bio so hard, you need something to kill them fast. And if you go 3cc, you can still do the all-in, but you can't kill them that fast.
Yeah,
that's why it's a bad build order. Like they just can't get to the late game where you're screwed.
It's actually kind of funny how the Colossus evolved. Like it used to be like I used to always go like double Robo Colossus, and when I had 4 Colossus, I was very happy. And now, like I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like it's much better early game and slightly worse late game. The Colossus, because like it absolutely completely shits on Marines, but it kind of tickles the Marauders.
Yeah, it's not as good against Ghosts either.
But like now that we have the Disruptor back in the late game on Stormers, like when I look at the option, I'm like, yeah, I feel like Protoss should win.
Yeah, just like the only late game option we have is to go like Mass Liberator, and to hit before there's like a lot of Tempest. But if you miss any of those windows, it's kind of over. That's why, like the all-ins work. Like Terran still beat Protoss sometimes, but like you really have to win with those all-ins, which kind of sucks.
Like for me personally, like I really die a lot like the 2 base timing. So if we ever nerfing Protoss, if we could not like defend, like nerf our ability to defend, because I feel like we're still, you know, like Terran can still win. It's not like in my mind, obviously everybody's gonna disagree, but like PvT is slightly toss favored, and like compared to PvZ, for example, like I would say like Zerg is more favored versus Protoss than Terran. Okay, obviously you don't have to react to that, but but I don't know, like I feel like the problem is a bit simpler in PvT to fix, because like I don't know what we could do, but I feel like it should be a bit simpler. Like maybe buff the Liberator a little bit, like you know give it like you need +2 to 2-shot. Is it 1-shot or 2-shot? Yeah, before you used to 1-shot a Stalker, right?
Yeah.
With the Liberator.
Right,
Like if we made it so that you only needed +1, maybe it would be better. I don't know.
It will be better.
I think the problem is primarily the upgrades coming so fast. The 2-2 into 3-3.
I mean,
And then, but I don't know. You go
I
ahead, Bucky.
feel like that's, I feel like that's true, right?
Let's talk about the basics, baby. What do you guys think about recall?
Wait.
Wait. Let's, we'll come back to that.
I think Chronobus is too strong. Like when there's a lot of Protoss that use Chronobus their first adept, and they send them to Terran base because they know, like even if you Reaper get in, the second adept might come out in time, and the first adept starts hitting before you even have like 2 Marines, so you can it's very hard to defend. It creates chaos because the Chronobus is so strong. So some Protoss usually make the gateway on the low ground, enter Chronobus to stop the adept, and it hits before even your command center is finished. It's very triggering because they start blocking it with the probe at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can build it, and when you build it, they just kill the CV, for example, and that puts Terran behind like a little bit.
Yes. I think there's a lot of utilization of Chronobus that's just a little too strong.
Yes.
you're an extremely biased moderator.
What?
Why? Never mind.
What do you think?
He's saying I'm a biased moderator for
Part
agreeing that
of the
Chronobus
discussion.
is too strong.
Uh,
I'm also putting my opinion in. I'm just the cameraman. And I'm just moving topics around.
like the Widowmine, while it's good that it builds faster, I think they should repair that and make it invisible again. Because right now,
Basically bring the Widowmine back to its
Yeah,
previous
to what it was.
state.
Yes, because now it's too massable to the point that it make it kind of silly some games that you have so many that you kind of win. But there's also situations that they go Stargate, and it's like they just fly the Phoenix, and since he doesn't one shot it, they just fly a Phoenix and they just pick it up with like the other Phoenixes or whatever.
There's a lot of like things where they use the adept shades too, and like the Widow Mines just get killed.
They
Also,
do heal.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think it made Widow Mines completely useless in ZVZ or is TVZ completely.
Yeah, kind of. It's a lot worse.
That's true.
And I feel like bio in general has been used a lot less. One reason could be because the Widow Mine is kind of shit and we just don't really see it.
Yeah, maybe.
Bio's better now than mech.
It's Bio is better
Better
now
than mech,
Yeah.
because
People are playing more bio less mech.
if you play Roach, Zerg,
which they have to do to play against the mech style.
Yes, makes it kind of hard to play.
I think like I feel like just to comment on the Widow Mine a little bit, I don't disagree that the Widow Mine is like worse than before. Like even if you can make
like there's
more,
some situation that is better.
maybe, but like in general, I felt like I'm talking like design wise. Like I feel like if we're going back, maybe it would be problem just design wise. Really often when you will see like a Terran just win because yes, Widow Mines there is no detection. It always like it's not as bad as just DTs winning a game, but it felt kind of shit too. Like just he has no detection, so he just kind of dies.
I know.
I feel like design wise it's not the best, but if you take that away, it took away a lot of fucking power. Like we can be a lot more careful with the Stargate opening now, whereas before it was very easy to die if you were not on top of your
Out
shit.
of curiosity, I don't know how this change would affect this, but I'm curious what if it didn't get revealed instantly, but rather like halfway through its cycle it became giving you time to either A, pick it up, B, like use your army positioning to maybe defend Widow Mines or something like that, where it's like a halfway thing
I think it will be too complicated for.
for the newer players.
Yeah, like I don't know what to say like on the top of my head, but it feels like the kind of thing Blizzard would never do because it's kind of inconsistent.
Yeah,
I
agree.
just
I'm
feel
just
like-
curious what you guys thought.
Like it also made like a lot of openings, like Stargate openings. Like now it's I say what we say like 70% Stargate, 30% other build, and that's because like before our answer to Stargate is Widow Mine, right? Like before the patch, because if you kill the Oracle, they have to stay back, or if the Phoenix fly by, then they have to revelate, so waste mana with the. Now if they fly by, they just kill it, right, with anything.
Yes.
But it also made like, for example, some games like I don't know if going back to, for example, CSPS Innovation, he did like some Chargers Phoenix all in. No, well, kind of all in, right? Like 60 props or like very little props at there, and like he didn't bother making a robo or the Oracle didn't even bother like revelating because as soon as the mines detonate, you don't even need to worry about it anymore because you're gonna kill them anyway. And like I don't cutting just that small thing like cutting the robo is a very big deal for timing wise. Like it makes like for example the timing hit a lot faster because you don't need to wait for observers. You can't kill the observer like you can do little mechanics like try to kill the observer so your mines don't die or stuff like that. Technically we have more mines now, but like Protoss can also like there's like these moments where they fly the Phoenix on top and
they splash yourself.
They kind of just kill your own units, and if you just win the fight, the game's over because you just keep rolling.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like the Widow Mine really needs to be changed back.
Do you have any proposition? You think it should just go all the way back?
Back to what it was. Like reduce the build time, like and make it like what
it was before.
Yeah, it takes longer to build, but it's just invisible.
I don't remember why they changed the Widow Mine in the first place.
I know.
Game ending
Because
game ending.
game ending moments, and we thought the Mothership core were maybe a bit afraid that it was going to be too powerful if you didn't have like the surefire way of cleaning them after.
But it's not the case. Is it?
Like I feel like if we were putting that before, it would make the game very hard as Protoss. Maybe that's the way to go, but it will make it like
it's
really
very hard to play as Terran right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, like when you play PvT, sometimes they just hide a random win of mine on the map. You lose the Oracle in accident, that's pretty much game over then.
You mean
it's
like
not
before?
game over.
It's really a
You
big
mean
deal.
before?
It's
Like
a
the
big
old one?
deal.
Before, when
Yeah, he's talking about before.
No, you can still do it now. Like it doesn't change it.
No, but the
now
thing
it's
is,
not a big deal, but now that, before.
Yeah.
when we
that
don't
was
mind
your
it.
in total. That was your only detection was the point. So like when
Yeah.
you lost your Widow or your Oracle to the Widow Mine, like you were in a very bad position.
Well, not really, because you have to make a Viking. Like if you
I
scout.
mean, it just depends if you had a drop coming in and you lost your Oracle, you'd be dead.
No.
or something
But
like
the,
that.
that's not how the game works, Jack. You can have a random Widow Mine somewhere and then drop at the same time. The timings don't don't.
Anyways.
Also, one other thing that's to keep in mind is that before, when the Widowmine was invisible, we had an oracle that was two-shotting SCVs.
Yeah.
So really often, like the counter to like, oh, he's pressuring me with a lot of Widowmines, I could just like send the oracle to their home. And I feel like right now the game plan of sending the oracle to counter damage is a lot weaker, just because like the oracle kills stuff a lot.
But that was never a good play though.
Sometimes it was very
It
versus.
always, like for example, stats when I practice with him, I always tell him how he should always send the. As soon as you see like star per unit, it's always a drop, so you should always send the oracle back, because it's just gambling. If there's a mine and then he's dropping 6 mines and 1 mirror mine, for example, you're gonna die. So it's just your decision to gamble or not gamble.
But like we had a situation where sometimes like you say it's a gamble and I agree, but like if Protoss sometimes could take the gamble to immediately win the game pretty much.
Yes,
if
I
you don't win.
know.
And now this option is just doesn't here anymore.
I know it's way worse, of course.
Yeah.
Does it.
So like I mean it's fine. Like it was fucking bad when an oracle wasn't doing the game on its own.
And I don't know. I feel like maps play a big role. Like they need to make the maps better, man.
Yeah,
Like
I
blocking
feel like-
blocking with 1 pylon, the jumping pad for Reaper is not acceptable. The scouting as turn is so important.
There's also a problem with the chrono adapt thing you talked about.
Yeah.
Like if you play on backwater, for example, they can put the gate on the main and block the jumping with the Reaper with 1 pylon, and then the Reaper can counter pressure. Like the Reaper always needs to be able to jump inside. Like was there a problem on every map? Like Mech Depot, if you can't jump, it's really hard to play, because then the Protoss has the advantage in the build orders, and then you get back to the point where you get unlucky, you're just kind of screwed.
I think a lot of the maps did change for. There's like larger gaps between the
No.
main and the other bases. Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, but you can scout. Like you make 1 pylon.
Yeah, like on Catalyst you can't jump, on Blackwing you can't jump, on Backwater you can't jump, on Neon you can't jump.
That's format already.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I'm saying that.
That's
what I'm saying.
Like I don't know. Like scouting as turn is very important. There you really have one option, which is sacking the Reaper, but they normally already like
and in general too, I feel like the distance of the map plays a really big deal. I don't know how you feel about that, but for example, Catalyst, I feel like it's pretty good for Terran, because like whatever timing you do, it's gonna hit extremely fast. And if every map was kind of like Catalyst or Abiogenesis, for example, but like it's a meme map, so let's not talk about it.
Abiogenesis is that veto, you know.
Yeah, well, it's not bad for Protoss if you know how to play it, like gimmicky, but
I mean, it's not bad for Zerg if you just 12 pull or something stupid too, but like
it's just a bad map in
It's a
general.
meme map, yeah.
It's just random.
Yeah, it's just a meme map.
It's not a good map.
But yeah, like if every map was closer to Catalyst or even Blackpink, but like Blackpink is
I think the
kinda
problem
good
with
defensively.
Blizzard doing what you're suggesting is that the maps become very cookie cutter, and it's like there's no
Yeah.
deviation. It's
Yeah.
just the same map
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
I agree.
Like the Abiogenesis map is certainly just that different map where you're supposed to have that quirky strategy or whatever.
Like
But,
I mean,
it
like
gets
you
vetoed every
guys say it's
every
fine.
series.
I think Abiogenesis is completely unplayable as Protoss, but
I think
Against
rush
Zerg,
maps
maybe.
is a
No,
bad
against
thing.
Zerg.
I
Like
guess
it-
Terran thing is terrible.
I think
I mean, it's bad, but you can win.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
I,
not sure.
I think you can't win a standard game as a Protoss player, but if you do some crazy shit, maybe.
what I was saying is I think rush maps are bad. They actually reduce map diversity because they get vetoed almost every series in tournaments.
That's true.
So
very-
like
very
it
true.
just reduces the amount of maps you see by 1, because the game isn't balanced to have maps that short rush distance.
I agree, and especially like when you look at GSL and other
Then you stick it away, yeah.
other tournaments, you see the same 3 maps played every single time, and those are always the standard maps.
So if there's more standard maps,
So the only thing is they can do is they either have more maps that are similar or more maps that are terrible, and I don't think we want the more
Well,
maps
you know,
that are
there's a lot
terrible.
of diversity between maps, like the acid plant map.
Yeah.
The newest
Yeah.
one is
it's
great.
very different
Like,
where people play it.
to be honest, in general, we're always whining against the map pool. I feel like this season, if you ignore Abiogenesis, I like the map pool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
right.
out of curiosity, let's just look at all the maps in history. What would you replace Abiogenesis with? Out of curiosity, if you could.
Abyssal.
I don't like
I don't
this
agree
one.
with
Wait,
this one.
Abyssal.
Ascension to Ire.
Abyssal is a good
Map of the year.
Ascension to
What's the
Ire.
Abyssal
If
is
you
You
could
would
replace
change-
Abiogenesis with any map in the map pools, what map would you replace it with? Out of
I
curiosity.
would keep
Just-
a Biogenesis.
Okay.
Like
next person.
no, like, wait.
Let him
Wait,
say.
like if you like almost every time you play a tournament, it will be best of 3 or best of 5. So I really think it's okay to have one like rush map.
Yeah.
For example, even if Zerg really hates it, there's gonna be people like Bly or Guru, whatever, that really like to play it, and that's fine, I think. But if it's just one map, it's okay. Like you shouldn't have Abiogenesis and Battle of the Boardwalk,
Well-
for example. But just one of them is okay, I think.
Out of curiosity, I think if we replaced Abiogenesis with another map like Ascension to Ire or whatever map it may be, that it would be utilized more in tournaments. Is what we're saying. Like
Yeah,
it seems to be vetoed against, and in every series it's vetoed by somebody. Is
It
what
will
we're
be a
saying.
better map. Yes.
Like I don't even remember the last time we saw a bio in a tournament or something.
We say like once every like.
Like
5
it's very rare,
series.
especially
I played
GSL. Like
against this
GSL is
They removed
very
They
much.
removed it.
No, I'm just saying like GSL is very cookie cutter for like the maps that are played. It's always the
Yeah.
same 3. Very rarely we see that one map, Darkness Sanctuary, whatever the fuck.
But isn't that because in GSL we have maps that are not in the ladder, so we just veto these?
I mean, technically,
Yeah.
a lot of the maps aren't in the ladder right now for GSL, but I agree with what you're saying. Yes, that is the problem.
Anyway, can we go back to TVP?
I want to say
to talk about.
about the Widowmine, like maybe it's not strong enough right now, but I don't like how it was in the past. I think it's good that it's not invisible forever. Like it increases the amount of build orders Protoss can open, and you can't just lose the game from one unit like really early. Like if you compare it to a DT is a much bigger investment than a Widowmine drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think maybe it should be. It's not strong enough. Maybe it needs a buff, but I don't like the idea of going back to what it was.
I mean, it could still do any build order back then. Like you can play Rogue or you can play.
Yeah, but
Twilight.
you would have to kill the Widowmine before it bros, and if it didn't, you're just way behind.
Yeah, but now in this patch, since you Chronobus Pro faster, you have your stuff faster too. You have to think of that as well.
Well, we also kind of already kind of suggested that
Don't
there should be a
don't
change.
you think your blink is faster in this patch than
Get
the
your
last patch?
technology faster, but not the probes.
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about technology.
Probes
So
are
you,
faster?
how you deal with the Widowman is a lot faster now than before, right? That you have more units, you have better technology, you have blink by the time my Medivac
No.
almost comes in.
Like the way it works is you have your technology faster because you can bank the chrono boost, but on a mathematical level, if we're talking about probes,
Okay, but
it's the exact
The-
same.
She was saying how before you only had to play one build order because you had to deal with
Oh,
the Widowman.
I mean,
Well, now you can deal with any build. You agree? You can deal with Robo, with
Yeah.
Blink, you can deal with one.
I
But
know.
if we go back, then you can't deal with
Yeah,
it.
but now we're in a different patch, right?
Hmm.
Now you can deal it with any build you want. Like you can do any build you want.
I mean,
and
like-
you could be able to deal
like
with
That's
that.
a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good. I'm not saying so.
Like-
Like,
But you
yeah,
want to
like-
go back to the old thing where there's.
no, but you
need
will still keep
detection.
the same chronos.
Yeah.
You
Like-
will go back. The Widowman only will go back,
You still couldn't deal with it with a Twilight
Mm.
opening if one gets.
but
broke.
now you can.
I mean,
Right
like,
now, if it was invisible all the
Yes.
time, how?
How would you deal with
If
it with
if
Twilight?
one
It
gets
would
brought
never
in your
be-
Maryland, what do you do?
It would never leave, is what we're
Isn't
saying.
the Robo almost done when the Widowman comes in?
No, it's way later.
Yeah.
When
like,
it-
Especially-
like right now, it's way later.
Do you think part of the strength of TVP or PVT is skipping the robo and getting like really fast, whatever it is?
no, that's just like one.
No, like it's just a thing when you go Stargates that you
Yeah.
skip the robo. Otherwise, you always get a pretty fast robo because Colossus is powerful.
Like the proxy factory could come back, and then Twilight openings. The
Yeah.
was just way too late. You just lose if one gets in your red line. Like there'd be nothing you can do.
Well, you can scout.
So-
like I scout. You have to.
Do we
as
have
Terran,
any
you have to scout. Like,
Proposed changes other than the Widowmine just being.
yeah, Colossus.
Yeah, the Colossus
Okay.
is
Colossus
strong.
should be
Okay, here we go, Terrence. What?
Like
One-
that's the first. Sorry, that's the two things I thought of. Is that the biggest changes were that the Widowmine is a bit weaker, and that the Colossus is stronger.
Mhm.
Like if, because like Terran has always kind of been on a timer and that was okay, but now the timer is really small because the Colossus is too strong. Like a Colossus against Marine is just not funny. Like one Colossus will kill like 20 Marines in like 2 seconds. It's really not.
Out
fun.
of curiosity.
And also
I think-
they buffed the Colossus to deal with Hydras or
Hydras.
Babies.
Yeah,
or
I was
something,
gonna
but
say.
that doesn't like it just doesn't happen. So I
Yes.
think they might as well change it.
Revert
back.
it back.
I think. Do you think the part of the Colossus strength is Chrono Boost being
No.
making Colossus come out quicker or anything like that?
I mean, it's one of the strengths.
But the
We
problem-
get
yeah.
Colossus a lot faster than
I
that.
think it's
Definitely.
mostly the
The
against
damage.
light damage.
Yeah.
Like 2 volleys and all the Marines are gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
It's a big
they
one.
they
He wants the spotlight.
He demands the camera.
they buffed the Colossus to deal. I was worried because I knew when they was. They always say like this is gonna be to deal with Zerg, and it always is against Terran. I knew the Colossus would be completely insane against Marines, and like the thing about Terran is like at the beginning of the game, like the first I don't know 7-8 minutes, you always like have to have so many Marines because Marauder is quite expensive. It's just how the Terran works.
Mhm.
So by the time your timing push come, you have so many Marines, and not that many Marauders, but they have like I don't know
2 or 3
two
Colossus.
or three Colossus, and then you bye bye.
Also,
Yeah.
I think the counterplay to Robo Colossus back then used to be like range liberator pretty quick.
Yeah,
But when you do that, you invest so much gas into liberators and range. You have so many Marines.
yeah.
So even like liberators aren't that good anymore because
Exactly.
all the Colossus can fry the Marines and Stalker.
Mhm.
Usually they'll kind of okay with the liberators until you can get to
Right.
Tempest.
And what do you think about just reducing the damage versus light and buffing the damage versus like like the rest a
Armor?
little bit more, armor a bit more.
That's what it used to be.
That's what it
Yeah,
used to
that
be.
was-
I don't
just
see what's
right.
wrong
Yeah.
with putting back what it
So
was.
reverse
Just
the
reverse,
Colossus.
basically.
Or you could just partially revert it. Like,
Yeah, like like tweak the numbers so that they don't fucking
I mean,
shit
they,
on Marine
like,
so hard.
didn't they use the way they did it, the upgrade? They remove one up. Like now they spawn with one more range, right?
Yeah.
7 range.
I think that's fine. Like that's
Yeah.
above already.
oh, they
isn't it?
also made the
Yeah.
upgrade cheaper and they spawn with
And
three.
they have 10% speed attack since then, no?
That was a while ago.
That was above. But anyway, what I mean is like
3 buffs.
the Colossus is
We
just
still
is
continue
just
this
in a
Zerg.
is in a
Isn't that
state.
amazing?
Okay.
You make people make Colossus against Zerg.
And I think
Ah,
the
this
reason
shit.
why Colossus are that good is because the counter, the Viking, is very weak. Right
Yes.
now.
That's true.
Kind of
I
bad.
think also against Parasitic Bomb.
Yeah, Viking
Viking
is so
is
weak.
really
so
trash.
weak.
Like one Parasitic Bomb and the Vikings have to split. They're not attacking for like half the fight.
And they have
I think that's why we
5
see.
HP left, right?
Yeah.
5
The
HP.
Vikings actually.
I think that's why we see
Problem.
people going towards Ghost Liberator in general, because they don't really have much of a
TVZ.
choice to deal with TVZ later.
Yeah. And Raven.
The Raven.
Oh!
Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Wait,
whoa,
wait,
whoa,
wait,
whoa,
wait.
this
Is it
a-
time
this is
to
a
talk
total-
about TVZ?
Wait.
Wait,
Okay.
everyone hold their fucking horses. We know we have a lot of talking
I'm
about the
done, I'm
Ravens.
done.
You're not done, yes.
What time is it?
So yeah, I think
Oh, what time do we have to stop?
7:50.
What time
You have
is
to
it?
start at stop at
After
8:30.
check, after check. 1 minute. Just keep going.
Okay.
I just feel the
Also, one sec before we continue. We are raising money for food because we're all starving and can't afford food. So if you guys have
Look at
extra
Miko.
money,
So hungry.
we will
He's been bulking.
Like
He really needs the calories. He's
he
been
has
going to the
nothing.
gym. He needs it.
save a starving pro gamer today. Okay, guys.
so yeah.
No, stop.
Like for example, I speak with Deer. And when after I lost to SS, he's like, it's okay, Protoss cannot be beaten against a Terran. Like when someone tells you that, like
Is this what you had to add? Is that the
No, no,
Protoss
no, no.
disagree that
it's
Protoss
just a
is-
little comment.
Ah.
A little fun fact for
Wait,
you guys.
Wait, what was
Okay.
the comment?
Protoss can't lose against
Anyway.
Terran dispatch.
Do you
That's
know?
what they're
Do you
saying.
know what I think? I feel like I feel very there's a lot of tension with Protoss. Let's stop it with the Protoss bashing and talk about Terran versus Zerg because as an outsider, I actually don't know which race is so strong. What do you guys
Wait,
think?
we're not done.
No,
I'm not done with Protoss.
Recall.
No, we're going into
okay,
more stuff after.
Let's talk about
Relax.
recall. I think recall is
I-
fine.
Okay, we're ready to talk about recall? 'Cause I
Yes.
think
But I'm not done about the Colossus.
No. Triple recall is not fine. Like Mothership call can recall 2 things, and then you can recall that again to your main base. Like
Yes.
that's
it
okay,
a triple recall.
Ah, but that's like
think-
actually three teleports of units
It's
out
true,
of the
true.
map. It doesn't really happen,
that's
but
everyone.
technically it is possible.
Okay, so I'm
And that's
Protoss,
pretty
and I
insane.
agree with him. I play PvZ late game a lot. Protoss should win if you play properly. Also, the Mothership recall is useless against Terran, but it's imbalanced against Zerg. You should just straight up remove it, I think.
I think
or
removing
just
the
severely
Mothership.
nerf it.
I think removing the Mothership recall wouldn't change anything. Like I
Yeah.
don't think we would.
No,
see
but
any-
let- let-
Because on most maps,
No,
like-
but I mean, like, I don't think we would have a problem where Protoss can no longer win, or
Yeah,
it would be
yeah,
like
yeah.
a nerf to win rates or anything. I feel like it wouldn't change anything when
I
it
mean,
comes
look
to.
at Blackpink, for example. Late game PvZ. Mothership at the top, army at the back. You kill stuff like spores, then recall top, kill a base, recall bottom.
Yeah,
kill
that
stuff.
shouldn't be a
That's
thing.
It's
broken.
insane.
I think it's
My
really
unit is
cool.
broken.
Or just have it like on a shared cooldown. So if a Mothership uses it, Nexus
Oh,
can.
that might be interesting.
I mean, but that still doesn't change the fact that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, well, no one would recall into a base if they didn't have the
Like,
recall out.
I think
though.
I would revert the Mothership recall like the way it was before, because now if it's abducted, it's dead, Before, when you abduct it, you could at least save it.
So you want, but you can still save it with the Nexus technically, right? Or
It takes longer.
the recall.
Ah.
You mean?
Oh no, my motion detected. Quick recall.
You mean you want the old recall
It's like
back?
three
Yeah,
hydraulics
I think
shooting
the-
at it.
the
It
recall
takes so
would be
long,
nice,
it dies anyway.
Wait, what was the word recall?
Isn't that a pretty big buff?
No, because like
The
the
one that
unit-
took time, more time.
No, they want the
No,
one that takes
it's
less
like-
time. The one that you could recall out and.
Yeah, but it
save
takes
the
more
Mothership.
time on the Nexus state.
No, it was different. Like you had the Mothership and units underneath, and you
Recalled.
leave,
Like
with
the
everything.
Mothership core recall, basically.
Yeah. Now it's you have army somewhere on the map, and the units there get under the Mothership.
Don't you know the game, man?
I feel like that's a
I
pretty
don't-
big.
I
He
don't-
literally
I feel
never
like-
saw Mothership. He's there and he dies before the Mothership.
What is that? But I don't know. I feel like.
I feel like that's a pretty big buff.
It's not a buff. Like you wouldn't.
Your
be able-
motherships would never die. If you.
Yeah,
control
but you
it
wouldn't
No,
be
no,
able
but-
to.
He can save it, but his army is without a mothership core for a while as well, and you can't
And
actually
mothership?
just jump from a location to another. You just go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going back home. That's a retreat.
Sure. I think that's a potential, or the shared cooldown is also potential.
But
or
I feel
Right.
the bigger one is the Nexus one, not really the
Yeah, for sure.
The next one is the strongest one, not really the.
No, but the Mothership core is actually very.
I know it's
strong
strong,
as
but the Nexus one
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But I think design-wise in PvZ late game, I think Carrier is really good, and Tempest, the damage-wise, is basically a flying sentry that costs 6 supply. So I think once Protoss get 200, you should always win. But Tempests are not viable at all. Like it's terrible units.
Aren't
So-
they okay to like
Only against Terran.
against
Right.
Birdlord timings? Like,
Yeah, even against Terran, I feel like you always, if you can choose between Carrier and Tempest, you're always on Carrier.
Yeah, but sometimes you need Tempest.
Yeah, I mean sometimes.
what do you think
And it's
about?
not like a Tempest is a bad unit. against
About-
Terran.
It is.
Yeah.
Against Terran?
Oh, I mean,
No, against Zerg it's useless.
Well, what do you think about like reducing Tempest HP but making them cost less supply? Because like down to 4 supply but not be as tanky. Because right now they have like 500 HP.
450.
So if there's a lot of them, like you just can't kill them. It
Less
takes
than
way
a
too
sport.
long.
I think the main problem is that the unit doesn't deal
50
damage. Like,
It does. I guess only against Broodlords it just doesn't.
and the big thing is that the counter to like late game Protoss is mostly making spores.
Yeah.
How do you kill spores with Tempest that have 8 range? You can't kill them anymore.
Do you
So
think-
like, what do you? I feel like, what are you proposing, that we want Tempest and Carriers?
I
Just
don't
like
think Tempest should be an anti-spore unit though, because it just
How do you kill spores then?
the Carriers.
yeah.
Yeah, so
You
don't-
should have to fight them. You shouldn't be able to kill them without getting hit back. Because they could just sit there under the mothership with Storm and then slowly kill the Zerg, which is what used to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really frustrating to play against. Because at least right now, for them to kill the Spores, they have to lose interceptors.
But back then, you were able to mass Tempest just because it was 4 supply.
When did
Yeah.
you go back to PvZ?
I think the nerf was
Yeah, I don't know.
too big.
I know. Like Papi
about
Papi was like,
recall.
I want to talk about the recall. We're like, PvZ is completely broken. Okay.
Can we go back to the recall, please?
Yeah, there we
Okay,
go.
go back.
Okay, back to recall.
Okay, I feel like recall is like probably the biggest abuse I ever seen in.
Do they have like a 1
I
second
can-
delay when they teleport in, right? No?
Yeah,
Like
It's
1
like
second or
0.7
less?
seconds.
0.7 seconds.
0.7
Oh,
seconds.
okay, so.
But that's not even a problem. Like sometimes you actually just gonna about like you trap the army on a corner
Yeah.
and you're about to win the game.
Now really, it's sick.
It's so annoying. They completely like misplay and move like all his army to a
Yeah.
corner, and they're about to win, and they just recall it back, and they lose what, like 6 units? You would rather lose 6 units to another army.
Mistakes are allowed for Protoss basically. They can do mistakes, it's okay.
No,
Yeah,
that's-
Yeah, but
that's what it
Protoss,
is.
it's super hard to be. It's super easy to be out of position. Like you can't really.
it's the
make
same as
observer-
Terran. It's not that. It's not very easy to
Like-
be out of.
Your
Wait,
units
no,
are
same
Go to
faster.
Zerg too.
Huh?
Terran units are faster.
Yeah, but you
too.
can warp in. I can't warp in.
Yeah.
What if I just warp in to reinforce
Okay,
my
but
main
let's
army
say-
and then you fly everything to my main?
I fly 4 medevacs to your main base, right?
Yeah.
But at least you can have like spotters like observers, right? For me to have spotters, I need to leave like units like that are not invisible or supply
If
depot.
I open Robo to have a lot of observers, you open Raven and you're gonna kill all of them. Otherwise, I have to
Like-
play Phoenix every game.
Okay, here's the thing that doesn't convince me when you present the arguments, is that sometime when I'm about to win the game, I don't and I only kill 6 units. To me, it feels like, yeah, like in the games I win, it takes longer to win. That's how it feels, at least to me. And like the recall is very necessary, not only in
This one is a bit
PvT, but
slower.
sometimes in PvZ when they fucking like drop everything in your main, and you didn't leave enough in the main, being able to recall is like a lifesaver.
Okay,
It takes
then-
5 seconds to recall when you have once every 3 minutes.
You had it here.
Like for me, recall is more than fine, even if it can be
Oh.
frustrating sometimes. It's like I've never seen a game where it's like, I mean, no, technically I've seen one. I've seen one game which was a bit frustrating, but
I
Oh,
think
we got
the-
money, no? We're getting some food.
$15.
$15.
Oh yeah!
Oh, well, let me finish
Burger
my
King
thought.
for 1.5.
Rice for everybody, guys.
who said whining didn't pay the bills?
Like,
So Miles117 donated $15. Fuel yourselves, warriors. Balanced talks can make or break friends, and all you have to do is stay friends. XD.
like say,
Scarlet, keep
Gamzamida.
showing the
Gamzamida,
world why they would
maybe.
fear the swarm. And you too, Stefano.
okay, nice.
You can
Not
comment
you,
your
Leisure,
balance
fuck you.
suggestions and we will read them on stream and
Yes.
talk about
Wait,
them.
wait.
Balance
No, no, no,
suggestions.
How long do we
At the
have,
end.
Sasha?
They're playing on this series.
Okay.
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Wait, can I say something about recall? I think one of the things about it is there's almost no cost using it. Like 50 energy is the same as one
Chrono
chrono
boost,
boost, and
Now I think it's fine because honestly,
it is fine.
like a good player is always gonna chrono boost over and over again.
That's not
How
true.
many times did I
A good
realize
player would save energy for a recall.
I wanna recall my units? I don't have energy, and then I just lose
It's
the
like
game.
fuck, I'm too good at the game.
Yeah, it's kind of weird
It's
that
like
it's
Terran with no scan.
I think recall is perfectly fine.
I think it's kind of weird that it's something you
What?
just start with. You don't have to invest anything
Yeah,
to get the option.
I cannot believe this.
Like even in the past, you needed the mothership core there, and it could die. So
Yep.
there's a risk with that. Whereas right now, it's just something that can always happen anytime. Well,
People
'cause
just
almost
recall their
always
probes,
there's
they're saying,
50 energy
You know
somewhere.
what? I accept your proposition and I propose this change. When you
Okay.
recall, it costs now 50 minerals. Happy?
50 minerals.
No, it
100, 100.
should, it
Come
should
on, guys.
at least be longer.
I'm actually curious about the resource like cost for a recall.
It's a probe.
It's
I think at least
90% of one probe to recall.
at
In
least it
terms
should
of
be
time.
longer. The recall.
No, I mean like adding a resource
Ah,
to recall.
More time either to warp in on the Nexus or more time like it takes from the to recall. But I think warping in the Nexus more time is
so
I don't
after it recalls.
like
more
it's
time.
just situational. But I think either way it's still. I really think recall is the worst.
I mean, it's fine. It's not like when I recall, you lose the.
Hey,
game.
imagine I drop your main and then I recall all my units.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
And
it's
we're
not
not
just-
recalling in your main base,
It's
bro.
not a game-winning
No, he means
position.
recall
You
out.
just fly
Yeah.
away. That's it.
He
But
means
it
recall the
saves
units
you from a
out.
game losing
They
spot.
say
Yeah.
from a game loses spot.
Whereas other players don't. Other races don't.
I don't have that luxury.
Like you work
I
on
don't-
20
Imagine if
cells and everything,
you
if we're out of
have military
position, we lose
boosts.
all of our
What
time.
is Zerg?
Yeah, but as Zerg, you have all the vision.
Shut up, we're
with
talking
overlords
about
everywhere.
PvT. Who cares about that?
You have creep, you have overlords everywhere. As Protoss, I have no vision.
You
so
have to
what am I
open.
supposed to do?
You have to open mutas or you don't have vision everywhere.
No, like you have creep, you have with overlord speed
But
like
you
Sarah,
open
he has
Phoenix
vision
every
everywhere.
game pretty much right now. And you kill the overlords or push them back usually.
Why
Yeah,
you
but I
love
mean,
PvC?
yeah, but as Terran,
And the Zergs just
against Terran, I don't have vision.
What do you mean you have it?
Yes, we know Zerg is strong. Can we go back to PvT now?
I
I
think
thought we were
need
talking
to be
about
out of
PvT.
position.
We're talking about recall.
I think especially the
Recall
the
affects
way it's
everyone.
used against Doom drops is a bit unfair. Because
Yes.
especially with Protoss being favored in the late game, Doom drops were one of those ways where you could get back, you know. And now there's 4 medevacs and there's no preparation at all. There literally doesn't have to be a single zealot. It doesn't do any damage, and that's kind of unfair.
I agree that like in late game, you know, because really often like the Terran would go mass liberator range, and then the Protoss would be aggressive. On one surefire way to tell the Protoss to fuck off was to like load 4 medivacs and go around.
Yeah.
But no, this strat is really bad because of recall. It's actually one of the situations where like recall feels a bit unfair. I feel like in the mid game it's fine because like you force the recall when you go back, but like in late game you can just like defend one of his doom drop. It's the one situation where I feel like it's a bit unfair for Terran. Like
So what would your proposition for change be?
I don't know.
I already said it. It should just take longer to warp it, either warp in or the next.
But that's
or
the thing though. If it takes longer to recall, the exact situation I talked about is not fixed. Because like you have an entire army, like the game is not dynamic, it's a very slow game. And if I just like spot for medivacs, put them all the way over to the map, even if it takes like 15 seconds to recall, I will still like be able to defend the big doom drop in time. So I really don't know how you fix that actually. That's a good question.
Well, you don't fix it, you leave it like this.
No.
I think it's
No, it's
I
completely.
mean,
Mark,
I
do you have
think
any
it's fine.
propositions for change of recall?
No, I think it's a bit too fast as well.
So you think it should just take longer to either? What do you think should it take longer to be at the Nexus or be taken away from the map?
New situation.
I think overall taken away because
Yeah.
it makes because like right now you go Archon drop, you lose the warp prism, which is a really big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times you can just recall both Archons. I mean,
Yes.
it's bad, but it's not that
I
big
think
of a
if you
deal.
leave like 5 seconds, but instead of 0.7, you know, to actually show the unit,
Yeah.
maybe a bit longer, so Terran can actually snipe stuff and then leave.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
But either way, it's the
better
same
than warp.
because you can see when they recall it, so it doesn't matter like which way you add it to for the defensive. It's only like to escape with units.
I think in recall is just a luxury that Protoss doesn't really need.
Yeah.
No, we do need it, like especially against Zerg.
We do need it,
Okay,
I
but-
think.
You mean like
Breaking
late game
against
against Zerg? Or like
Hmm?
what situations you need recall against Zerg?
Overlord drops, like
yeah,
4
like
or
a big
5
overlord
drops.
drop.
Yeah, it's really necessary.
So you think it would be a pretty big nerf for
Yeah, like-
TVP?
I mean,
like
as
an
Zerg, I would do drop every game if that's removed or nerfed.
I think it's possible to just slightly increase the time before the units disappear, like to teleport, because that way, if your army is really out of position, you might lose a couple more things before it all goes away, and then Terran can still see.
I still feel like 5 seconds is already a
Yeah,
lot.
it's
Is
pretty
it
long.
5 seconds right now?
Yes,
It
it's
is.
5
It's not
seconds.
a lot.
Like as a
Feels like
Terran
this.
army,
Isn't it 4?
Terran is like no
It's-
damage.
it's 1 to appear and 4 to.
Yeah. It's only 4 before it disappears.
But if you chase a Protoss army with a Terran army and like imagine it's like 1 on a 10 supply, you're not gonna kill more than 2 stalkers. Like you're really not gonna kill more. No, it's true.
If you're like
really.
right next to it, you will. But
Like
Yeah, like
you never. Right.
You're actually not gonna keep really.
Like
kill
you can
anyone.
just steam everything and go
Yeah,
out chasing a
it takes
Protoss
like
army.
a couple seconds just to get on the army. Is what they're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
No, I disagree. Like I had a game a few days ago. I recalled my army. I literally lost half of it.
Yeah,
Like you can just click on your sentries, colossus, they just disappear.
But I mean, like, you
instantly.
shouldn't-
if you're in a
shouldn't-
game in the mid game or you're forced or recall, it's not a game you're losing.
I don't think
Yeah.
recall should be the thing that just pulls your army out when you fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if
Exactly.
if your army is supposed to lose half your army, you're supposed to lose half your army. It's not supposed to just be like poof.
Yeah,
it's like you get force fielded. Like you're gonna lose the units unless you pick them up with medevacs.
Huh.
You
Yeah.
can't just
and you can
recall
snipe the
units and
medevacs.
force
Yeah,
and
but
they
then
don't disappear. And
You
appear
said
somewhere
like a few minutes ago, you said that the problem in PvZ is that we had no way to move out on the map.
Yeah.
If you nerf recall, that's even worse.
Actually,
Isn't
Nip
it?
does that. In the mid game, he moves out with like a retardedly small amount of unit, like a sentry, 3 stalker, an immortal, and 2 zealot to clear creep. When he
just
sees
recall
like
them?
stuff happening, he just force field like somewhere when he recalls.
I think you can move out. You just can't like attack into the lurker.
Yeah, you can't nerf it.
But I don't think recall changing would allow you to attack.
So
into
like,
lurkers.
what would be our proposition change? Like
I-
1
I-
second,
Like
or
in general, I don't think recall is a problem. Like this
Yeah, I
is one
don't
of the
think
thing where like
okay, well the
come
Protoss
on,
players
not
don't think it's a problem. Does anyone else think it's a problem?
I think it's a
I
problem.
think it's a problem.
I personally don't think it's
I
that
wish
big of a problem.
there was strength somewhere else with Protoss other than recall because it feels so bad to play against.
I
Miko?
agree.
Yes.
Miko
Like-
think it's a problem.
I think
I think it kind of is. I mean, it's kind of. It just feels stupid every time Protoss fucks up. Or,
I
for
agree
example,
with that.
Very often, actually, almost every second game right now, when they fly in with like 2 oracles or warpism harass, every
Yeah.
time you surround it with queens or something, they just fly into a corner and just
Yeah.
I think that-
I
I think-
can
I
kill
think-
a prism with my queens with 8 range.
Okay, I
Oh,
think-
but you got stuck there.
Imagine
Yeah,
I
it's a
recall my
mistake.
Raven that I put there.
I think the most annoying thing is the fact that no matter what Protoss does, if they make a mistake or whatever, they never get punished for it. Whereas the other races,
well
would
they
just
don't get punished as much.
Like it's the same
I
thing.
disagree.
Eco
Like,
have-
if there's a prism in your main and it warps 14 zealots, or like it drops 4 and warps 10, and you didn't have an army there, you're dead as Terran.
yes.
So like,
The same with Zerg.
yeah, and
No.
it used to be different. Like a Protoss actually had to have stalkers in their main or something, but now they just.
A Templar or something.
It's,
I mean, Templar's still good if you leave it there, of course.
Okay, so
I personally would say remove recall, but I'm talking only PvT.
Like I mean we're only talking about situation like even his example, his prism got stuck in the main. If you have a prism that's stuck in the main, you're winning this game. This is a successful defense. The only time all the complaints I see about recalls are just situation where the rest that's not Protoss is doing great.
No, but it's about
How
when
is it doing
Protoss
that?
abuses it, right?
Yeah, I was doing.
So when Protoss doesn't get stuck there by a mistake, but gets stuck there on purpose, right? He flies there, super risky move, gets damage done, and then goes into a corner where he teleports from. That's the problem. When he abuses that.
I don't
You're
know.
not supposed
You
to
will
get
you will
there.
never
If
like
you get there, you are stuck usually.
you will never want to recall our war prism. That's it. That's always a losing move because you lost so much potential
Oh,
damage.
It's happened. It's
we got
happened.
an $80 donation.
How much?
Yeah.
80s.
Oh, money, food.
Get some good dinner, boys, and round of 8 grill PogChamp.
To the queen.
Anyway, I think like I don't know, recall could be left as it is, if they nerf pros in some other way, like either Colossus.
But like personally, I think recall is cool.
What
Maybe
if
that's
they-
maybe that's the bottom of it. I think
Actually,
recall is fucking
I
cool.
have a suggestion for a way. I think the lurker upgrade could be nerfed a little bit.
The hive one.
Yeah, the hive one. Because I think right now you can just run onto the Protoss army
Yeah, I know, I
and
see.
burrow and you just kill it right away.
I see you do it all the time. I
Yeah.
don't think it's good to do that though. Like I think if you can do that, you're just ahead. Like way too much ahead of
No.
Zerg.
Like even Sarah did it at Showtime, I think on Violet.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Like he walks out on the map, he just gets surrounded by lurkers.
That
burrow.
game was fucking bullshit. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I mean. I mean, like
Could have recalled.
I think that's the one point where Zerg.
Sure, mate.
Well, you can't recall because the bro's instant. I think that's the one point where Zerg could be a bit strong against Protoss is the lurker bro upgrade.
To capitalize
If anything.
PvT. I think Colossus, recall. We don't mind.
Marine.
Chronos.
I think you
Something
should.
of this needs
No,
to
a
change.
fifth one at least. A fifth.
No, like something. No, obviously not everything
Okay,
is gonna change.
Viking.
Okay.
Viking is too weak.
Uh,
Something has to change.
Alright.
obviously.
Fine.
So, what do we think about the dreaded topic that we all want to talk
What?
about.
Wait, can we
Let
summarize?
me give some closing thoughts.
Two closing
Great
thoughts.
matchup.
It's closing thought.
Okay, closing
Put
thoughts.
the-
Closing thoughts.
Spotlight on him. Spotlight
Out
on
of
him.
these things, 5 things that I just mentioned,
Uh-huh.
I think some
Three.
Pick
stop
one.
being a clowner, man.
No, you remove 3 out of the 5. That's it.
No, something needs to be addressed out of these 5
Okay.
core problems.
I don't think the chrono boost can be touched, otherwise PvZ is kind of screwed.
So
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, I think everyone agrees that Colossus could be reverted because
Yeah.
at first it was targeted towards PvZ for the Hydras, but now it's no longer a problem, so you can take the Colossus, take it.
I think we should talk about our nerfing recall.
we're not done. So
Okay, that's one.
Colossus, I
That's
think
one.
at least 2 need to be either mine or Viking needs to be buff.
I think Viking.
Viking is a buff, I think.
I think Viking is a buff.
Wait, what kind of buff do we propose?
I don't really know.
I think.
Health maybe.
It's
What
not bad
about
against
10 more
Terran.
HP? That was great.
Yeah.
Well, that might actually be like a legit thing because I think
Yeah.
they
It is
get
a legit.
instantly killed by parasitic.
Yeah.
Like,
It's 5 HP when.
One
So,
fungal,
like-
one parasitic, all dies basically.
5 HP.
yeah, so maybe
No, one fungal plus the parasitic.
so maybe 10
altogether it
HP
dies.
would actually be a legit buff, not like something. Like it's hard to tell, but I think we should at least try a 10
10,
HP
15,
buff.
something like this,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we should
As
try
a
it.
starter.
I don't really know how much.
Also okay, so the Raven. Wait, let's go into closing
Let's
thoughts
just.
first.
Okay.
Closing thoughts.
Okay, so
Closing thoughts on TVP,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about.
Yeah, I think a weird thing about the mine is that I feel like Terran kind of needs to have a really strong counter to Stargate. Because right now, just like Poppy said, 70% of the games are Stargate, and Stargate really owns Terran. Like, we used to be able to abuse it with like a lot of Widow mines because they had no proper detection, right? But now it doesn't really have any counter. They can go Stargate every game, and the only time it's kind of bad is when Terran goes 3CC, and then you just cut the Phoenix. But against anything else, Phoenix just kind of owns everything. It feels like.
The thing is, I think the reason why we go Stargate 70% of the games now is because the blink opening is so much weaker compared to before.
Yeah.
You can, I mean,
Well, yeah.
you can do it, but it's kind of like to blind counter a little bit when you do it. It's like it used to be very strong, it's just everything. Now it's kind of like its own thing.
You just have no opening.
You can
Yeah,
take some time.
my point is more like Robo is definitely not bad. Robo is good, and Twilight's maybe not great or possible, just like DT. But Stargate is too strong when Terran doesn't have a counter to it. Like Protoss has complete map control with Phoenix. You can't drop, you can't do any harassment, and that makes it easier, like what I said, to get the late game as Protoss, which is
But
not a good stage for Terran. So, like, I don't really have a solution I can tell right now, but that's one of the things about the mine is that if Terran doesn't have a good answer to Stargate, it becomes kind of bad. Like, everyone knows the Phoenix adept time when the mine was nerfed. Like, if Terran doesn't have a good counter to Stargate, every game is going to be Stargate, then it's going to be really strong.
Okay. Do you want to add something to your closing statement for TVP?
Yeah, I don't think the Willy Mine can be the way it was before. It was way too strong against Stargate. Like maybe a little buff to mine, but I'm not sure. I think it's super difficult to find like the right buff.
Turbo?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
It doesn't one-shot Phoenix, does it?
like
No.
Protoss
But
is
it would be balanced if it did one shot.
Protoss is a bit too good.
That's your opinion.
Protoss is a bit too good.
But like,
Oh!
That's what he said.
I said that in the beginning. Don't act surprised, please. Say that in my opening
Yeah.
statement.
Okay.
But yeah, like maybe changing the Colossus a little bit. But yeah, like like the Phoenix is kind of an oppressing unit. The Phoenix is.
Yeah, so maybe an Phoenix then.
It's really oppressive.
I don't know how you could change the Phoenix though.
Should get one shot by mine, I think.
Nah,
Oh,
no
wait,
way.
maybe like give something.
Why not?
like Terran something.
Everything gets one shot by
Like
mine.
one thing I should mention too, we don't mention it because we have never seen it in competitive play, but it's something that exists. Is the Raven? There's like for a while a lot of Korean Terrans they tried push the Raven, and then they kind of stopped doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious in the GSL group. We have 2 Protoss like Deer on Classic, Gumeo and Marauder. Yeah, like if the Raven is actually like that powerful, we're gonna see it then. Because on the ladder, I play against a lot of people making like the Raven can be really good, like disabling Colossus and the thing that prevents the armor. It can be decent and maybe it's gonna be good. Probably not because we don't see it. I don't see it often anymore on the ladder. But I'm hyped for that. But anyway, maybe Protoss a bit too good. At least TVP with gentlemen, honest with each other.
Yeah.
That's nice to see.
Just as a closing thought,
Yeah.
in the Protoss chat where we have Neeb, Showtime, Mana, Drogo, it's everyone's worst matchup, PvT.
Yeah, I was
Just saying.
Hey, can you put me back in?
Did you forfeit your spot?
I-
What do you, map test?
I said if they could find someone else.
Okay. Well, they replaced you with Bly. Anyways.
They are there. It's their world matchup, but they also you need to take in consideration when you practice in Europe.
Yeah.
You play
It's
against
not
no Terran. how can you
No,
like
but
if
Like they still lose to
they
the
struggled
European Terran.
very weak.
yeah, but they all
players.
played really bad. Like I played Showtime 2 days ago, and he was not even as bad as a 6K Protoss in the Europe ladder. I'm not even joking.
It's a bit over exaggerated, but like anyone in Europe's against VT is gonna be pretty weak. Like,
That's why they're here.
well, not entirely, but like
It's
you,
a work
you
in
can't
progress
say
for me.
Like,
yeah,
if you send back DNS right now, I don't think he can lose to any Terran in Europe. It's
Yeah, but
impossible.
like, well, I don't understand what the point of this is.
The point of
Talking
it is like
about
he's telling me that all pros matchup is the worst against Terran, but that's because the practice they get against Terran is so bad
Well,
Yeah.
that-
that
that's
they don't
very
really know
true.
what they're doing.
I mean, it was just a little fun fact, you know. Like the last time
Yeah,
you
exactly.
shared your fun fact. and-
Okay, so this
Yeah,
is a
but
fun
my
fact.
fun
There-
fact
there's
has
really
to
nothing we can do
counterplay.
here.
Okay.
So, we've all got through our closing statements for TVP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think one of the biggest things is Viking buff, 15 HP would help in both TVP and.
Oh, 50 maybe too much.
Oh!
Okay, 10 HP buff. I don't care.
25.
You guys have to
No.
play around with it, and like we're not saying that this is.
Yeah,
like
a buff
final
is
thing.
needed basically.
But play around with it for sure.
No damage, HP.
Yeah.
and the Colossus one seems.
A Colossus, I
agrees
think
on that.
everyone unanimously says like reverted Colossus wouldn't change or fuck anyone up really
Do
badly.
you think you need that if the Vikings got buffed?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still not enough.
Yeah, and I don't know. Look into recall.
Yeah, we will
Seems
not
to be very
all agree on
questionable,
that.
so.
yeah.
They probably will not
We'll
look
see.
into recall or Chronoboost, but at least the other 3 options.
Would
should
you be
good.
happy if they nerfed the lurker upgrade and then nerfed recall?
I honestly don't care about the lurker upgrade.
Oh,
If I'm in a
really?
game where they add the lurker upgrade, I'm already pretty fucked usually.
Really?
And that's not because of the
I
lurker
feel like
upgrade.
that's like the thing I aim for every PvZ right now is to get lurker upgrade fast
Yeah.
and then just be aggressive.
Yeah, you have a lot of units and you can literally burrow under me, but
Yeah.
if we
Is that like not
like
standard?
I mean, like if you stop burrowing under me, I still can't do anything.
Okay.
Like, for me, I played a lot with Cyril prior to Leipzig, you
Yeah.
know? And all the games where he could like run on my face with his lurkers, I was dead anyway.
Okay.
Other than that, I have enough immortals that if he tries to come close, he's losing everything. I don't think the lurker upgrade is a
Okay.
is enough.
Okay, so don't change the lurker upgrade.
Okay.
Don't change the lurker.
I mean, sure, like take it
ah.
away, I don't mind.
It's TVZ time, I think.
Yeah.
Easy time.
Who starts?
Okay, wait. Before we get into this, wait, we go back to TVP for a real sec. Ravens aren't a thing, aren't an issue in TVP.
No.
I think like one, they're not an issue. On two, they're very cool because like it's like, it's kind of their hero units. Like they have one Raven. They wanted the Raven to be less spammable, and at least when they're used in TVP, that's achieved because they have like one Raven and it's kind of like this toolkit. Is it too strong? Not yet. Like it's not too strong. Like,
TVP, we
if it's
don't
too
see.
strong, we're gonna see it in GSL, but right now it's not too strong.
Okay, just
No,
curious. It's just a side note because when we get into TVZ
Okay.
and
Let-
TVT,
Wait, let me get
wait.
about the Raven TVP.
TVP.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
TVP.
I was known before the patch as the Raven Master. I'm not joking. Me and TY, we were the only Terrans that would play Raven against Protoss, and I think it's pretty fair to say that. Before the
I didn't play you
Before when?
before
4.0.
4.0,
And Soul.
Before, yes.
I think the Raven against Protoss in this patch is just worse in general.
Well, it's a very different
Yeah,
unit.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
But
different.
I
Like
think that-
comparison wise, it's just worse against Protoss.
I think part of the thing it was good with was just the auto turrets.
The Rotoress, like when every single game when they did an open Stargate and I scouted, I would make a Raven because I could like auto turret and I could like
That's good.
I
what spell they had? They had like the
PDD.
PDD. You could PDD like when you have like a lot of Vikings and one Raven, you could actually PDD and fight against the Colossus.
Yeah.
But now you
Nice.
can't. So it was a better unit against Protoss before the patch than this one.
I think
Like there's some gimmicks in this patch that you can use, like the missile against cells, for example, but it's very hard to micro. Like, and sometimes it ends up actually just hitting your units. Like it's not that easy to achieve against Protoss than as the two races.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think it's worse in general.
I was gonna say like going into ZVT as well. I think I don't really like the Raven existing as a harass unit in that way. Like there's already so many other units, and I like especially right now against Protoss maybe it's not too strong, but I like how it's more specialized rather than just sit out of range if they don't have an air unit and just make a turret every 30 seconds. Because that's like one of the worst things to play against. Like if you don't,
You couldn't do anything
there's no
about it.
counter to it. Like there's no way to actually kill the unit, and every time you look away, there's a turret in your base, and you're just losing stuff. And I really hope it doesn't go back to that.
Okay.
With the turret being stronger.
TVZ time.
Any comment on what Sasha said?
I mean, I think it's just one of the dark dropouts of playing Hydra. I had to deal with that too as well as Terran.
What?
But
The Raven harass.
No, but
Mira
us we
I-
couldn't really do much about it. Like
We couldn't do much either.
no, like you had to keep like 3 queens on each base behind the mineral line to be to ever
Yeah.
hope to get the.
I don't think it
like-
was that bad though.
No, no, it
At
was.
some
It
point, it
was
was really
awful.
bad.
It was-
I think
really
it's
one queen.
fucking-
No, I think it was
in
really
terms of
bad when it
efforts,
two-shot
it's
works.
Okay,
insane.
alright,
What
and
you had
also-
to put
but
into
what?
it.
Wait. Let me finish. I thought it was pretty bad when it two-shot workers. I thought it was pretty imba.
Mm-hmm.
But after they nerfed it to 3-shot workers, I don't think it was that
and
bad.
Hydra's already got nerfed since then, so I think if it goes back to what it was before, it would be like way too
So
strong against
you're suggesting that auto turret is removed? Or
Hydra. No, I just don't think it should be buffed.
What? Who's planning on buffing it?
Well, Poppy is.
Okay,
always
well,
been
auto
talking
turret
about
surely should not be buffed.
it.
I don't think
He
anyone.
always says it should
They
get
should
more
be buffed.
fast
Why?
range.
Yeah.
Because they're useless now. They're literally useless.
You don't need
No,
to
it's like
have
3
it. Is
shots.
the point.
No?
You can put it down, dog.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah,
how
like
many
the-
units do you have
okay.
to harass, man?
Okay, I
Liberators,
think.
Banshees,
I-
Highlanders.
Let's put the Raven aside and let's speak about the TVZ matchup
I
in
think-
general.
No, I
Wait,
think.
wait.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's have a closing statement on the Raven then. But I personally don't think, personal opinion as a Zerg player here, I don't think it's necessary to have the Raven also be harassed. I think there's a lot of utilization throughout the game with the Raven, especially with the new PDD or the new.
Anti-armor missile.
Yes. I don't think that it's necessary to also have something that's also really strong in this situation. You have other options already.
I think it's just back into the place where no one wants it to be though. Like the only thing you make Raven is you just spam them in the late game and you bomb everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Like,
So that's
it's-
a totally
I
different
think
thing.
they need
No,
to.
No, that's the same thing.
That's
like,
literally
you don't
they
have
say
utility
They
throughout the
removed
game.
the whole Seeker missile because they said
Yeah.
they didn't want it
You don't have
to be
utility
No, I
throughout
mean,
the
like,
game.
spammable.
As a harass unit, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, but
I mean, this is up to balance discussion or Blizzard team if they think that it's supposed to be a harass unit or not.
I think.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
They
If
wanna
they
be
went
a
back to
support
3
game.
range auto turrets, I think it would be way better than before even. Because first Hydra's got nerfed and second, the anti-armor missile's way better like in the mid game against Zerg. It's
Yeah,
way
I
better.
know.
If you use it on their Link Bane and then you fight, it's like
I-
+3 attack
I agree.
upgrades. You just can't fight it. So
I-
I don't think it's possible to
I
keep
think
the missile as it is right now and buff the auto turret.
I know. I think they should buff the turret and nerf the missile.
Sorry.
Yes.
okay. Anyone else have any opinions on
Do you,
makes sense.
the Raven? So you think
the Raven nerf? The Raven in general, like I'm not scared because I have Phoenixes, so I'm never gonna see a Raven Aras for a while. But Raven Aras was really lame. I mean,
yeah.
obviously.
It's
I think
one of
it's
the worst
lame,
things to play against.
I think as Zerg, like we just don't have anything to deal with it for so long. It just sits there and throws turrets
The
out.
problem is,
Well,
like,
it was mostly maps too, to be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
These
like,
maps aren't.
These maps
They
you
aren't much
can't.
better for
Even on these
spamming
maps,
turrets.
like in the last map, it would have been bad, but now it's a little bit better again. Like Acid Plant, it's not that bad.
When I say bad, wouldn't be
Can
bad.
they put it between the natural and third on acid plants? Or can you hit it?
I don't think so.
You can dig it like that.
You
Isn't
can
it?
hit?
But
Like now you can't. There's like one range.
Is this where we live? Yes, this is our team house in Korea.
Like that's mostly the. For example, Abyssal was like the Raven Heaven map.
Yeah. Belshire too.
That shit.
okay, I think the biggest problem in TVZ though right now is that Parasitic Bomb is really too strong against Vikings, and like Terran just can't play late game with Vikings. You have to go like Ghost Liberator, and even that's not that scary when you have Fungal. So as we were talking about earlier, I think the Viking needs a buff. And
Do you think 15 or 10 or 15 or whatever they play around with is an appropriate
I
buff?
think they should start with that and see how it goes, or maybe like, I don't know if this is reasonable, but like a slight movement speed increase.
For Vikings?
I maybe that's not a good idea in HP
I think-
splitter,
yeah.
but I think like splitting his Parasitic Bomb would help, but I don't know.
What
I
about?
thought about the movement speed, but
Yeah.
it scares me for TLO.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
you don't forget the landed Viking is really good against Protoss and Terran too.
You think
Like-
just an HP buff would be scary for that?
The HP goes better, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like if a Viking flies in your base, it actually like it kills SCVs and probes really fast too.
Okay, okay.
Like
Then
it's
yeah,
good on the ground.
I think
It's gonna,
an HP buff and change the missile somehow on Raven so that it's not so good. Because right now, if you just cast it with a bunch of Ravens, it's
You can split.
I
yeah,
think
you
you-
can't split. It's not weaker than it was before when it did like 150 damage. It's
No, but
just
it's
different.
so quick.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
just cast. It's an Earl
I know.
unit.
It used
Like,
to just kill everything, but you could split against it. Now
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
you
You
need
have no
more of
time to
them, but it
react.
kills everything.
You
anyways.
have absolutely no time to
if you have
react.
enough.
Yeah, I think if you get hit by it, you kind of just can't fight ever. So it's just like an
And
constant.
even if it's not late game, like in mid game, like the -3 armor is really insane against Bio.
I
It's
think
really, really insane.
It should either go slower, like more time before it hits, or less AoE.
Yeah,
on it.
I think if it went slower, at least you
I
could
think
split
slower
it.
is the best idea. Let's
Like-
say we would
Like
do-
more
we'd be
time
nothing.
before it goes on.
Yeah.
I'm up for like just nerfing that.
So we can actually micro. It's just about micro.
I think I agree with the
a
slower
free
missile, so you can avoid it, would be a bit more of a fair buff, especially or if nerf,
Nerf.
especially
But then you maybe need to buff the damage.
Yeah, that's what I said.
buff the
But then
damage.
it goes
Yeah.
back to what it was before. No.
No, like it used to be like 150 or something, and now it's 30.
But what do you
Yeah.
what do you mean by buff the damage?
It does no damage. 1 minute.
Like
It's 30.
the missile doesn't do any damage.
It does
But
no
I
damage.
think the main thing should be the anti-armor of it. Like,
It-
it
yeah,
should be
so
some,
you can actually use your Vikings and hit corruptors your Vikings
You-
afterwards.
you have to
Yeah,
be-
but like imagine you can split against an anti-armor missile.
but the
Yeah.
more damage it does,
should be able to split against it.
the
Yeah,
more
but it
damage.
forces you to go back, right? And then you, like the combination with the units, you can actually use your ghost to snipe as you go back. I don't know how exactly it's gonna work, but at least it forces the Zerg to go back and split, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like if you have a really slow 30 damage missile, it doesn't seem like it would be.
Well, I mean, you'd
like
also
that
have
well.
you'd also have the Viking buff and the other things. Like it's hard to tell with all these changes at once, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They will need to.
And in the current state, this would be really bad, I think. But
What?
like if we didn't change the Viking at all and we just went into like nerfing the Raven and that was just the only thing we touched, then maybe we'd have some issues. But I think if we're buffing the Vikings and changing the damage, maybe it doesn't even have to be
I
changed
mean,
damage. It's just something that we should be able to avoid at least in some.
Yeah, but that's like
some
plus 6 damage for Vikings.
it's it. I think it's
basically,
good
right?
for
And Raven.
Terran as well.
Raven.
Yeah.
Like in TVT, it would be nice to
Yeah.
be able to avoid these.
Yes,
in
of
my
course.
opinion.
I can see you.
So I think
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that this change would be beneficial for both Z and T.
I don't think they should increase the damage though, because that is what leads to it being spammed. Like right now, even with 30 damage, people are just spamming it. Because
Yeah.
it hits so fast, you can't split it, you take damage anyways. And if it had the anti-armor, and it had big AoE, it doesn't have to be that much slower.
But
like,
We got a $10 donation from Shifty1212 saying, I'm just gonna say what everybody's thinking in chat. Show us your guns, Stefano.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I have a better technique. We should this.
But like I don't know when they first hit the patch after 4.0, they say their goal with the Raven change was to make it less spammable, which they failed,
Yeah,
obviously.
they failed very hard.
Because now it's even I would say even more spammable than before.
I think
At least in
last
TVT or
TVT and
TVT.
TVC and TVT.
was it this bad before like the patch 2 weeks ago though?
No, because the missile was way worse.
Yeah, I think the missile can be good without being spammable. Like if what you're saying with increase the damage is what makes it spammable.
Okay, but then they could make like if they. But I'm afraid if they nerf the missile,
Yeah,
I don't see why would I ever make a Raven against there.
because if you get 1-2 missiles off, it still helps. You just don't want to
It doesn't
spam
really
like
help.
20 missiles to kill everything.
It doesn't really help.
It doesn't help.
okay, I think it
The
does.
anti-armor doesn't help?
In late game, it doesn't.
So what do you
help.
do it for the damage, basically?
Also,
Yes.
another thing is if you do make
You
it
spam it to kill the.
Yeah.
You
if
spam it to kill the
if you
unit.
do make it a slower projectile, it doesn't necessarily make it worse against broodlords. Depending on how fast it is like really hard to split broodlords if it's a projectile. You know what I mean? Like they're not very
I know.
fast. So like you could still use these late game even if there's a slower projectile. It just means that we're not going to lose our entire army.
But
We're
we're
not
going
gonna-
back to the last patch. Like, you see Mass Raven last patch?
No, we're not talking.
But you don't have to make it as bad as it was last patch.
It was
Yeah,
a
we're
little-
talking
in
about
between.
just making it slightly.
But if you just
dodgeable.
make it slower, it means like you just have to find the unit and just send
Yeah.
it away, basically.
It can.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like very slow. Just like a slight change.
Just something that we can actually dodge, because right now it's undodgeable. There's no micro potential. You get hit and you have to back up.
You have to be careful though, because if you make it so that you can dodge it for like broodlords, it's gonna completely kill it in PvT. Because if you target one of my zealots, but I have time to send it away, then I only have one zealot that has minus armor, and it's
Yeah.
completely
Well,
trash.
No. I
Like the
think it
minus
should
armor is actually a huge deal in that.
I think it
versus
should still
PvT.
be able to hit broodlords. Like, I don't know if you should be able to split broodlords in time.
We could keep it like the same speed and everything, and reduce the damage even.
Like
That's
reduce
another
armor
option.
disability.
No, keep the armor amount, but make it do a bit less damage. Because even it only does 30, people are just still spamming it late game to do lots of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they spam it to try and
Yeah.
kill the unit.
Yeah.
Not really.
It seems really good. Like sometimes when you get hit by the or the whatever it's called, they unsiege their liberators and just kill all the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the
as,
dam-
as portrayed by TYB Stark on that Black Me.
Yes.
When Miko said he should use some siege the liberators.
Are we whining?
We're not
I
talking
want to
about
try and
one
keep
game.
this away from.
I mean, he literally said, unsiege all the liberators and go. And he did that. And guess what?
Just the fact is,
Yeah,
I
the
think-
main issue is the
It
fact
was a
that
bad
it
situation.
stacks actually. Like Vipers, you can't make like 5 parasitic bomb and hope to kill everything
it used to
suddenly.
be able to, and that's what they
Yeah, they changed it. And fungal, you can't stack fungals. So I don't understand why Raven you can actually make 25 of them and just like keep sending bombs.
Yes.
Even
I-
if it's
I think
30
it's
damage,
it's
it's
even-
too much damage already.
It's even more apparent in TVT. This
Yes,
this
it's
phenomenon
actually more.
where they're spamming ravens
Violent.
against each other, and it's just like a clusterfuck. I've
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
games where you just can't micro against it. It's just like praying to Jesus that
It's
your
very
shit hits
ugly.
theirs
It's
first.
very ugly
Yes.
to watch.
I actually already sent that.
So, like,
to
I'm
the
wondering
podcast,
if we remove the damage done completely, and it was just a -3 armor thing, I think it would still be utilized well. You'd still make the ravens to use them in -3. It wouldn't be something that just kills everything, and it's not a variable where it's like, okay, well, if I spam these and they all hit, then everything's dead.
Or it could be like
It'd be
it
better in
reduce
PvP.
armor and speed a bit or something and no damage. At least you'll show you like or something.
I think if it's no damage, then at least it
It's not
won't be
supposed
spammed.
to be something which kills, you know, like so you can't spam it. You just have like a few
Yes.
Raven,
Yes,
and it makes like your engagement better.
yes,
That's
that
it.
would make it less
And
spammable.
support units.
It would be a support unit. Yeah, you'd make 1 or 2 of them, and it wouldn't completely destroy TVT, which is what it's doing right now.
Yeah.
So I think if we remove the damage that ravens do
It's
altogether
just
with
hard
the
because-
People wouldn't use them against Zerg.
You wouldn't use it against it.
why wouldn't you use them against Zerg? You use them
Like,
against
if you fight in the late game and you don't have something like a mass destruction weapon, you're gonna lose anyway. Like, a Terran army isn't gonna be like mass Broodlord Corruptor by throwing one missile and then stimming into it. or
Well, I mean,
something.
you might have better Vikings, but yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with
That,
that.
come on.
I don't,
let's
I
be
don't think
honest.
there's no chance. Like,
Not even with
you only
100
win.
HP more
I mean,
Viking.
You only
you'll
win
still
against
lose.
Zerg in late game with these mass destruction things. Like, you have mass ghost that snipe everything, or use mass missile. But Terran units don't fight against high Zerg units. Like, it doesn't work.
Mass
Even with
missile-
-3 armor.
Seems to be an issue though.
I think
What?
It's too simple. I feel like mass missile is too simple.
Like
Yeah,
snipe-
it is. But I'm saying, like, that change would be good for TVP, because it would just be the same. You can missile the Zealot, it's fine. TVT would be better, but against Zerg, no one would make them. I mean, maybe, like, the first bio push or something, but late game...
I don't think it's necessary to have a Raven just kill everything.
I think
like
that's
you're
also an
suggesting.
issue with
I mean,
other.
it's like Parasite Bomb now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kills
but we're
everything.
also trying to nerf Parasite.
No,
No,
you're
yeah.
not. You're actually saying buff the Viking by 10 HP.
Well, that's also nerfing Parasite Bomb.
It is kinda.
Yes, it is.
It's
You could,
making
you
it
could,
weaker.
you could nerf the Parasite
Yeah.
Bomb. too.
I think.
I mean, we
If you wanna
uh,
nerf the Raven, you
but-
need to nerf Parasite Bomb as well. It
If
just
the-
has
if-
to happen.
if the issue is you can only win with spells that can instantly kill their army, I think that's the problem. You don't make the solution by instantly kill their army with a bunch of spells.
Yeah,
Then
but
you
You just
have-
make it so you can actually fight a problem.
You need
fight.
to buff
what else do you
everything.
do? You're gonna buff Marines? Like,
Even above
it's
Marine,
kinda hard.
Marauders, like you can
it's
do
really
it.
hard.
Tell me what's wrong with my reasoning. When I watched Dark vs TY, I thought it was really cool. I rarely saw like a late game where like stuff was happening kind of all the time. And what
Yeah.
would be wrong with killing the Raven and just go back to that? Because TY won a game, Dark won a game, looked fine to me. What's wrong with my reasoning?
Because
I personally agree, and I think you can still utilize it even if you think you can't. I think you still can,
I think
especially with a nerf parasitic.
Just Vikings?
part of the thing about
I don't
this-
know what happened, but yeah.
Yeah, part of the thing about that series is TY practices that all the time, and Dark is just like adapting on the fly, and he still wins.
Yeah.
I think most of the time Zerg is very favored in the late game situation like that.
Okay.
What
It's
if
just-
they redesign the Battlecruiser? Because the unit basically doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
I would like that.
I think that would be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the way the Battlecruiser is used. Like the whole teleport thing seems a bit gimmicky, and I don't
It
think
is
it's
gimmicky.
utilized like it should be at all. I don't think it helps the unit in the late game fights. It
It
just
doesn't.
it
No,
just
it's-
seems
it's
gimmicky.
useless.
It doesn't seem like a practical thing. So if there was a way to revert that change and have
It's
some
actually
better unit,
Because whether
I like
it's
that
PVZ or TVZ or PVT, there's no way Terran can access that unit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And it's just the when it is used, it's really gimmicky. It's not a thing. It
It's
just
not really
doesn't work.
useful.
I think that they should take that out completely because if they do buff the Battlecruiser and it had that ability, it might be too strong.
It'd be
What
like
ability?
recall.
Exactly. Like say they make the Battlecruiser just way better, and then you also have this teleport ability. That would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like take that ability out. It's not going to be utilized in any effective way, and somehow make the Battlecruiser just a better unit and overall something worth maybe like a faster production time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I really don't know how you make it better.
The only problem is with that, if without the teleport ability, it's just useless for abducts in a lot of situations.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if they get abducted, that 700 resources is gone.
It's like the most expensive unit.
Well,
in the
like they would have to buff. I'm not
Can
saying
make it
like,
cheaper.
I'm not saying to make it
Yeah.
just the same unit. I'm saying it has to be better.
Yeah, but how will you make it better?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Like,
That's
I
a
actually
discussion.
have no idea how you make it better.
Well,
I think it's-
carriers can be abducted, but you don't see.
Well, there's feedback counter.
There's
but
feedback. But
EMP
there's
is way
counter-
worse because it's not instant.
And it doesn't drain all the mana.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then you actually have to hit like.
You have to do it
I
twice.
mean, you can change the teleport
think-
to
I
only
think
be in a certain
Unanimously,
radius.
I think the one change would have to
Like
be
a short range.
Like a big blink. pretty
one
much.
change would have to be production time, right? Like
Yeah.
it just takes way too long.
Yeah.
If you lose them, you can never remake them.
The problem is like even if you get to mass VC, it's still too weak.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's what
like
we're talking about. We're talking about a buff to the unit.
Let's
not
find
just the
something.
same
Let's
unit.
let's think together.
make it attack slower but deal more damage because corruptors have a lot of armor. What about that? So they could actually deal damage.
I
you
feel
know?
like it needs some AOE or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh.
It's just
we're going too far.
the
We
thing
don't
with-
need more AoE.
with-
But
yeah.
Terran has no AoE, do they?
They have nuke, the
Raven.
best AoE.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm not saying AOE as in like it just fires storms off and fucking kill everything. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about like if we can find something where it's you could utilize some form of AOE, not something insane. But like if it just does 1 damage per, or it does like let's say it's a liberator, a fucking big liberator, like it doesn't help. You know
How
what I mean?
about it project a missile that does 30 damage in AoE and reduce, let's say, some armor?
I think it's not a bad idea, though. It's possible. Like,
Yeah.
if you
I
make
think-
max battlecruisers, it should be able to beat stalkers, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like it should be able to
Choo-choo,
beat...
motherfucker.
Yeah, like, it should be able to
Stalker
beat a little army.
I think
It should be fucking
this
strong.
unit, it's too hard for us to like theory craft what would make it good. It needs to be changed in first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just hard to tell
And I feel
because it's
use-
so out of
I
use.
feel it's useless to talk about it because if they will ever change the VC, it will be like in a big new patch like they did last one.
This doesn't have to be.
Maybe we're talking about it. I think it would be an interesting thing to play around with. Like I do think that PTR or whatever can be utilized for stuff like this.
Yeah.
So, open thing to the Blizzard team. I think that would be an interesting thing to look into for sure.
Yeah.
Because it is useless. No one uses it, and when it is used, it's just like a what? He's going Battlecruisers lol and then win the game.
I think also we need to look at Parasitic Bomb. It's too much damage right now. Even
Yeah.
if you buff Viking HP a bit, I think it's still
It's
too
still
much.
too much.
And I really don't like spells like that late game where it just kills half your army. with
How do you
the
think it
mess
would change DVZ if we nerfed Parasitic heavily?
up.
It's a
CDZ?
mirror match,
Yes,
so
with
nobody
mutas.
cares.
It doesn't really happen that often, honestly.
It already destroys mutas so
It would
hard.
kill mutas anyway.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, if you
They're both-
change it to the
I
point
mean,
where
if-
mutas are more viable,
The change was so
better
insane.
No,
Like
I
it was
think
from 60 to 120. It was double.
Okay,
Because
so
he can stack, but like if you put it like in different
what would,
Vikings,
what would be okay? Yeah, we know
you
what
still
would be
stack.
what would be the proposed change to the parasitic bomb?
Reducing
Less
to
damage.
100 damage.
100
Like,
How
damage?
much
start
is
with
it right now?
120. I think reducing to 100 Zergs would be fine with that.
And I think
Maybe
with
like-
the buff to Vikings, that would also be more efficient for this late game turn.
I mean, they're never gonna do twice at the same time.
Yeah.
they're not gonna have
The
the both.
buff and the
Well,
the parasitic
Well,
buff.
the
So
Viking
buff
one-
isn't something insane though.
Like
It's
the
not-
Viking
I
buff
think
helps
the
in different
Viking
areas.
buff
though.
would be pretty bad.
You think?
Like, in
But I
PvP,
don't see a negative to it. Like Vikings are really like they're like
you have to
beyond
be,
the Battlecruiser,
you have
the
to
worst
be
unit
What's
we
the
have.
cost of a Viking? 125 gas or 100?
150,
150s.
100?
150, 75. I
Oh.
think.
75 gas?
It's quite expensive for what it does.
Nah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Like
Do you
the,
wanna-
the
okay.
Viking doesn't battle anything. Like the Viking gets owned by Phoenix, you get owned by a corruptor. Like the only thing a Viking does is like sneakily snipe something from the back, but it can't fight anything. It's just it's too.
I think it could fight a lot better if there was Parasitic Bomb didn't just kill all them right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
if you could like maybe reduce the ground damage a little bit if you buff HP.
Yeah, that I was
'Cause-
thinking about that too.
Because like
Yeah,
I'm
but-
kind of afraid of just getting owned by like Viking that have more HP, so they kill my Colossus
And then
faster
they
when
run.
they go down.
yeah,
they
like
just-
the bonus to mechanical could be less.
I mean, they wouldn't kill the Vikings faster. I mean, the Colossus faster. They would.
Yeah, but the
no,
point
but
is
they,
that
they,
they will
live
survive
longer,
longer.
so they
Yeah.
shoot more shots. And
Also, TVT seems like there's a lot of Viking drop utilization too, which might be weird with the 10 HP buff or 15 or whatever they go with.
It's just mass Viking. It's mass Viking now, right?
Yeah, but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to change.
Okay, so maybe it would be better to just nerf Parasitic and leave Viking as is.
No, I think a Viking needs a buff.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's better with Protoss. It's just like some
It's
Protoss are happy when they see Viking. Kind of.
Then, yeah.
yeah, that's what Joker
Oh, we
said.
also proposed to remove the Colossus, like revert the Colossus back.
Yeah, if you're changing Colossus
There's so
and
much
Parasitic Bomb, you don't
but
necessarily need the Viking buff at the same
Then
time.
yes, it
to,
would
to be
necessarily
to
not
be
need that.
exactly exact, if I'm playing a Terran that is Viking, it's usually a battle that's near maxed, and in a battle that's near maxed, the Colossus is worse than before, because it only does damage against light, but in a really maxed out fight, if it shoots at Marauders,
I don't agree.
I think it's
I
actually
used
a
to play
lot
again
worse.
against DNS. I was max, and I got destroyed.
Yes, and you gotten destroyed even harder with the rotated Colossus.
No, I had like so many rings because that's how the build works.
Okay.
your maximum
And
life
if the
minutes.
Colossus does more damage
Okay,
to Marauder,
okay,
you would
okay.
have destroyed.
No, I
Ah,
would have won that game.
Back
We're
to
not-
TVZ.
So we're not doing this like I played this game and this is why. Okay.
Yeah,
We're just,
like
we're gonna be objective
do you
here.
not understand? If the
I-
Colossus
I-
does
I-
more
I-
damage
I-
to
stop,
Marauder,
stop.
and you only had Marauder,
I say Marines.
yeah, 20 Marines on the max army.
Okay,
Everyone, calm down.
sir.
Calm. Do we? Okay, wait. Do we want to take a break and order food, or do we want
Let's
to keep
finish.
talking?
Let's finish.
Okay, finish. So where are we at?
TVZ. We just only talked about late game.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we
I
talked
think
about.
that's-
There's more to say.
I
Yeah.
think that's the only issue right now.
No.
Why?
Nah.
Tours.
Okay, that's actually an interesting thing. I think the Thor. The way
No, I
the
was
Thor-
more blaming like Zergs for like being too strong in the mid game as well.
Yeah, what the fuck, dog?
Really? With
Yeah,
hybrids?
in terms of quick spread, like the vision of the turn being limited.
Yeah.
The,
But I think if we had weaker late game, mid game isn't so much of an issue. Because you don't have to. Because right now the Terran is forced to just try and kill you right away.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the mid game isn't like I think you don't want to
I'll be right back
buff
real
late
quick,
game
guys.
for Terran and nerf mid game for Zerg. Because that just reduces. Like Terran is already stronger in the early game for sure. That's undeniable. So if we
One
lost
sec, guys.
power in both
Is it?
the other what?
Is it really?
Yes.
Why?
What stage do you mean?
Be right back.
Early game, like very early.
you going?
Across opening, like all the build order openings.
I don't agree at all.
I don't know about that.
You
Why?
know, because there's so many builds the Terran has,
Mm.
and it's just mostly the Zerg just trying to survive. and
But
not
Zerg
be
has
too
many
original.
builders too.
I think the pull first against Reaper mechanic is not that great for Terran. Like if you go gas first Reaper without scouting, for example, without SCV scout, and you send 2 lings around or 4 or 6, you're always ahead of Zerg. Or you SCV scout, which is too expensive. And like it could always be a different variation. You can even do the 14-14.
But it's a gamble right now for Zerg as well. Like if you go send lings around with pull first, leave the Reaper at home. Zerg
Yeah,
is just
okay,
behind.
but
It's not as if the Reaper
it's-
was
it's-
actually
it's-
doing damage on the other side
It's
of the
also
map, is it?
it's also a gamble. No, because what if you
No,
open,
but like you need to scout.
what if you open pull first and then go or one base Ravager and my Reaper has gone?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
die.
but it's a risk on both sides. Like if the Zerg does an early aggression
Yeah.
and the Reaper stays home, we are behind.
And you send the Reaper across, you just win with one base.
No, but the point is that I feel like the early game always so it can also be good for Zerg. Like there's a lot of
Yeah, but
Don't
you
order
say like
matches that
it's
can be
heavily in
good
favor
for
of
Zerg.
Terran.
I think it's pretty far in favor of Terran.
you feel like
What,
that.
the early game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
You feel like that too?
Absolutely. Like scouting is very like the Zerglings don't get by. Like you'll get 8 Hellions, you can't really.
No, but the
and
Overlord sees
Haras-
everything.
Huh?
The Overlord always sees everything, so scouting is not a problem.
Yeah, the Viking kills the Overlords.
Yeah, but you'll see it in time.
But we don't know if you're going Cloak Banshee.
Yeah, you can
You
fight
make the
us.
Viking, you kill it, and we have no idea. Because you start an upgrade, then you start a Liberator or a Banshee. We don't know
Yeah.
which, we don't know if you make Cloak. You kind of just have to play safe and make spores. Or you just die to one Banshee.
Yeah, but you kind of want to spore against both, no? Like if there's a Banshee, you want spore for the
Yeah, but
next
you
one,
wanna
the
you wanna
Liberator,
spore
you
on one base versus Liberator. You wanna spore on every base versus Banshee. It's quite a big difference in terms of investment for Zerg.
I guess so. I feel like in TVZ you also need to be a bit lucky as Terran in the start. Like yeah, like if it gets into the mid game and you know the mechanic where you run by the 6 Hellions or not, like if you decide not to do that and they're greedy, like you're already in a really bad spot, I think. Like I feel like it's because of how many drones Zerg I make early on, it's kind of hard to be in a good spot as Terran.
But
But I
like
don't
economically speaking, we're not that ahead. Like you look, we have like 10, 15 extra drones, but because of the mules, it's actually even.
I think it's so hard to kill a Terran though. Like without hive tech that if you made the mid game and late game weaker, it would be really bad for Zerg.
Yeah,
Like I think it's just the biggest problem in the matchup is like the air units for Terran suck against First Aid Bomb. And I think before you look at anything else, I think that should be the main thing that you
Okay.
would
Yeah.
focus.
I can agree.
I could live with creep in nerf though.
Yeah.
Creep nerfed?
Yeah.
It was
No,
nerfed
no,
already.
no. Creep nerf would be pretty bad for all
It's like
matchups, I
that's
think.
a really big change though.
Like,
yeah, but
Like I don't think you can do that in a small patch.
I
Yeah, I
agree
think-
with that too. Like,
I think
creep is a
if
bit
that
more.
was something that we'd have, like, it wouldn't be something we can just be like, yeah, we all unanimously agree.
What do you mean
Like,
nerfed? Like the range, the.
Like how do
The
you say
speed?
like make the spread a bit less for a tumor,
Yeah,
for
the
example.
range.
Because like if you get into the late game and the creep is already there, you can't take any more bases. Like if you get locked by creep, you're just fucked. Kinda.
But early
So-
game you kind of need it, like to defend your third.
Yeah, well, you would still get it. You just need like. It's
Yeah,
less
like
range.
doesn't
Like
have to be a big
defensively,
change.
if you
though.
nerf it, it's gonna be so fucking hard. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And we would have
But
issues.
that's also a
I
map
think there's
thing.
already
It's like
issues
every
with
matchup it changes so much. Like even ZVZ defending your third base without creep
in
or slings, it can be so hard.
ZVP would. Yeah, I feel like this is a huge change. but they could be possible. I think they need to be tested for sure before utilize or actually implemented.
Like as a Terran, I don't know what it's like as Protoss, but if you walk onto the map and you see the creep is further than you want it to be or expect, you almost feel like you're dead, kind of. Like if the creep is in the middle of the map when you do your first push, you can't really push it
Yeah, but
anymore.
that's on
can't
you
so much-
usually. Like if you were not active enough on the map, or if you drop enough, or if you don't tag.
Yeah, but like if I make 6 Hellions and a Raven or just a scan, and I spend all my time just denying creep
Yeah.
and not denying any Zerg economy or any unit, it's not good for me.
No, but I mean like more mid game. Like you're speaking about the mid game right now, not the
Yeah.
early game, right?
Yeah, but it all leads up.
I think that one of the bigger things is if you do that, like, I feel like the huge investment into like sacking Hellions for just like the YOLO thing.
It's not a YOLO thing.
What?
It's not a YOLO thing.
It's not a YOLO thing.
No.
It's a complete YOLO thing. Like,
No,
you take a
not
risk.
really.
It's not
It's
a
really
take
not
a
like
risk.
that.
No, it's not.
It's really not like
I was
that.
telling
Like,
no, the Hellion sack is 100% YOLO.
No,
Like,
it's
you
really
take a
not.
risk. Like,
Wait,
you
why?
don't know what's
It's a
going
very
on.
big risk.
No,
yeah.
it's not too much. Like,
Well, but
if
you don't know what's there. It could be like 30 links.
You
just
can
chilling there.
scout by seeing
Hey,
how many drones
you
you
can
have
scout queens, the creep, how
Yeah,
many
how
drones
many
at the third,
queens.
and also the 6 Hellions trade really well against the Zerglings. So even if it's a few too many Zerglings, it's
Did
never
you watch
really
Scarlet
done well.
vs. Innovation?
Yeah, but that was
Yeah, like-
being
That guy's already planning on all-inning there.
an innovation, very big mistake.
I feel like it is. Like
And he went up
sometimes
the
you lose
natural
all the
ramp.
Hellions and you kill what
Yeah, but
6,
it's like
8 links.
4 mics.
Nurchio?
Also,
Nurchio, wait,
I
go
think
back.
it's not really that YOLO.
Nurchio
It's not
said,
YOLO.
leave creep alone, Zerg is already the hardest race, smiley face.
Like, I
So
think
Nurture says.
Yes.
it's really hard to defend if you have creep against the
Nice
tank
troll.
pushes.
Nice
So,
sarcasm.
like right now, in games you're already having trouble early game. You don't really have good creep spread, and then it's really hard to deal with it already.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not what it's
But
I think creep
It's
is
not a
something.
YOLO thing.
I
You
don't
see
think.
my
really
point when I
Okay.
talk about later.
Okay, I don't think creep makes or
What did you
breaks
say?
anything crazy here. Oh,
What's
I think you can deny it. I think it's something that's deniable for sure, and I don't think it's something that should be changed. I don't think it's
Yeah.
balanced, and I don't think nerfing range is something we can just say like would be a good
I think
decision.
if you look at it, you need a bigger patch. Like,
Yeah,
with a lot
like
of
maybe if this was
different
the
features.
BlizzCon patch we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
then we can talk about
That's what I
some
meant
crazy
with
shit.
the
Okay.
Battlecruiser one.
Yeah, I think the Battlecruiser might have to. Well, unless we test it, like we'd have to test it.
We can test the creep too. It's like,
Yeah, but this like.
Yeah, but BC is way easier to test.
Yeah,
that
the
one.
BC
Like,
is completely
creep
utilized. Creep
pretty
is
big.
every single game and it's absolutely necessary. Every single game.
okay, don't yell at me.
Like for example, imagine you play on Blackpink,
Yeah.
which is a map I always have that problem on. Is you can't deny the creep everywhere. Like imagine you spawn in the left bottom, there's gonna be creep in the bottom, the middle, and the top. And what happens a lot is you could even have a good push at the bottom, deny that base, kill the creep, but then they can expand on the top, and the creep will be all the way there, and you can't attack on creep. Like there's no chance.
But if the Terran's putting on a lot of pressure, it's hard to spread creep. Like
Yeah,
you
usually
can't
it's
just
just like
focus on it.
medivac drops being active and you can push the creep back. It's not like your army. Like
You don't,
until you fight, you use medivac drops to deny the creep.
you don't even
Right,
have to kill the creep itself. Like as long as you're pressuring the Zerg, they can't spend as much focus on spreading creep. And if you're playing Zerg, like you need to be spending 100% of your time doing things. Like if you're defending, you're not making creep elsewhere
Yeah, yeah.
in one spot.
But the thing is, like you can't just use your units to only deny creep all the
No,
time.
it's not
like,
about. It's
you
also
really-
about distracting. Like
Yeah.
you
Alright,
take
yeah.
time from
I
us.
would
we're
like.
not
I think we should
creeping.
move on from creep. Honestly, like think we can't reasonably come to a conclusion where creep should be changed. And this is not. I'm not trying to
I was
be
just
biased.
explaining
I'm
my-
not
I
trying
do
to-
feel like it is too strong. Like in the late
Late
game,
game,
mid
yeah.
game, like it gets impossible for the Terran to actually expand or like
Yeah.
move out or. But
Or maybe,
there's not much to do about it.
like you have your first tumor, the more you expand it, the lower the range maybe. So in late game, it gets weaker.
But then you make new tumors, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't really care.
That was just a thought.
All right. So
Complicated.
have we talked about everything we need to talk about? Does anyone have any?
That's all you say about TVC?
I don't. No, I think that.
Wow.
What it like?
Literally everyone thinks you're.
I
retarded.
didn't
do
see
you
the
wanna say
bitterness.
about
I didn't
that?
see
No, no,
the anger. I
What
didn't
is
see
it
the
about?
rage, like the
You're
wrath.
hiding it,
bully.
but tell us.
Where's the wrath?
What's
of
wrong with
Nico?
Thor?
I really think the Raven needs, like the turret needs to be.
Yeah,
better.
we already went over that. Oh wait, no buff. No.
Oh,
No.
the turret above?
It's
Does
Shut
not-
the
anyone?
fuck up.
Does anyone here? Raise of hands. Does anyone here think the turret should be buffed?
You're just trying to bully
Let's do
us because
Okay.
the small Zerg
The-
never
the
raised
other
it.
turret.
The Terrans
Like,
think that they should,
They-
but everyone else does
hey,
not.
They introduced it back, right? They put it on a turret. Why they put it on a turret back?
I don't know.
In hope
Like-
they use it, right?
The other
But
turn
they
now
usually-
is so bad.
They
But
use.
no one wants the
Then what
auto
would you
turret.
So why
do?
did they put it back?
I don't
Why
know,
would
but
you
I don't
need
think
it?
it's necessary.
The-
We already
Like
went
in
over
what
that.
situation it's
No, we
necessary
haven't.
to have it? Like you don't have other options to actually harass?
There's already so many more options for Terran.
I don't understand why you
It's
need
not
want
like
an extra one.
What were you talking about creep? One of the best way to kill creep
Yeah.
is with the Raven. Well, then right now, if you make a Raven, it's kind of hard to justify it, making a
I
Raven.
feel like
What do you mean keep
I
with
never
the
saw
Raven? Like, you have
turrets
units
to
with it,
clear
right?
creep.
Yeah, of course.
No,
You
no,
say-
so
why
why
use
use
the
the
protection.
auto
I was
turrets?
saying that the best way to clear
Because
make a Raven,
if you make a
Raven is
Raven,
just
you
like
can make a
single
garage
Raven.
unit, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't make a garage unit, Zerg use
Like
expansion
in
for free.
general for builds.
I don't see why investing in a Raven to clear creep is such a bad thing.
Okay, so in general for
It's a big
Terran
deal.
builds, you
It's
need
200
to
gas, no, Raven.
It's 200.
yeah,
It's
you
insane.
need to have a lot of momentum. Like you
So
can't
what if
just
you make the Raven cheaper?
But it has to be weaker.
Aye,
man.
aye,
It
aye.
has to be a lot,
my
a lot
friend, this
weaker.
is nuts.
We're talking about nerfing it already.
Huh?
I just think like
Okay.
let me finish my thought about that. I just think like if they introduce back the turret, they are hoping people will use it. But since they removed the range before even like going live, it's not really used. because
What's the schedule on turret right now? That was the range thing.
it's
one. Like you need to be above it to drop.
Ah,
it.
okay.
Like it actually, you can drop it in a mineral line. It's awful.
Even if they change the range, I don't think it should be 3. Like
mean-
maybe
mean-
you experiment with a small buff, but I don't think you should go right to 3 because
Then
it's
it'd
so
be
hard to
two.
deal with.
It can only be 2 or 3.
What?
Like
It can be
only do
1.5.
That's
Some
they,
has half a range.
they don't do that, do they?
Yeah, they do. Broodlords have like 9.5 range.
I think yeah.
I just don't understand why they put it back.
But like then all the starport unit will be harass unit. Like you have the Medivac to drop, you have the Banshee,
Yeah.
you have the Liberator.
Yeah,
I
before
don't-
the
Yeah, then you
Raven
have the
nerf,
Raven. It's insane.
I don't think it's necessary to
It's
have
like
that
you
many.
scout the thing and you have no idea what's gonna come
They
at you.
already make a tech lab every game because so Zerg doesn't
Yeah.
know if it's a
No, in
banshee
terms
or
of
not.
formation, it's insane for
It
the
can be
Zerg.
4 different things.
You don't even scout against them.
The tech
I
lab
do
for the tank.
scout.
What?
I assume my
For the
overlord
tank.
though. I have
Okay,
two
okay,
tanks.
alright. We're
We're
getting
trying
into
not to
circle
do that,
jerking
Major.
here. Yeah. So
Like
let's.
even if you're never planning on making a tech lab, you know, the starport, you just put it there. So that if the Zerg scouts, it could be a banshee.
And then they
Be
put the
scared.
upgrade, you don't know, like you have no idea what's going on.
Hey,
You never
MMA
know.
wants to know why you're not saying anything.
Like
I'm just-
if you actually make research about Terran, you'll realize that if you make a starport unit, and the first one is a Viking, and you're not researching, it's always a Raven afterwards because you have no gas to start. Like
Yeah, but some people make a Liberator and they don't make the upgrade.
yeah, but
No,
you know it's not a Banshee. We're close.
It could be anything.
No, you
No,
can't,
no,
you can't, you can't know, man.
It could be a
If you make first
Start-
Viking,
Yeah. And you're
And
not
then-
researching?
you're not researching.
No, it
It
could,
could be a Liberator.
it could be liberated.
could be a
Or like-
medevac.
Could be Banshee.
But you can
Could be
also.
Raven.
But also like
It could be anything.
No,
like,
no.
Could be a
I
Battlecruiser.
actually-
it's very easy. Like if you put the thingy on top, and it's not researching cloak, it has to be a Viking or a Liberator.
What?
But
It
not
could be
everyone.
anything. You
They
have
can
more
just not
money.
make cloak and trick you, make you think it's a Raven. Like they already sometimes make a medevac or a Liberator and they don't make cloak.
Yeah, they can make anything, I think.
Okay.
They don't have to trick you into making like you think it's cloak, right?
They can't
I mean,
trick
that's
you the
what she
same
was
way.
saying.
No, I'm saying you can't trick them the same way every game. I'm saying
It's just because the overall scouts like automatically gonna research cloak.
I
So-
don't think there needs to be another harass unit.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I have to say that Banshee is not really an harassment in
Hardly,
this
yeah,
meta.
sure.
It's more like an anti.
Anti-LN.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you prefer to harass, you should make a liberator.
But
or
we
a
have to
medevac.
make spores a lot of the games just because it could be a cloak banshee.
Yeah.
Like if we never had to make spores, it would be a huge deal for us.
That itself, I think, it's like killing 3 drones.
Yeah.
You know?
More than that, it's like killing 6 drones to make 3
Yeah.
spores.
So
Or
like,
more.
And the
it's-
positioning for like a Raven or Banshee or Liberator or the Spore is different.
Yeah.
So,
If we made them to deal with Liberator, it'd be really easy to deal with Liberators.
but then you make 3 Spores blindly and then it's Liberator, so you don't actually.
and then
need
you
the-
have like these spores sitting there, and then an auto turret comes in, like, like yeah.
Wow.
I just don't understand why they put it back. If
I
they're
don't,
gonna,
it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
no, it
Forget
doesn't
about the
matter.
range.
Yeah. So what?
Calm
what
down,
other-
it's gonna be
So what
okay.
are our proposed changes that we can all pretty much agree on for the battle
every
team?
matchup?
Yes, like all
No,
of our changes
for
that
TVZ.
we come with.
Okay, TVC, I think Parasitic Bomb needs a damage.
Yeah.
Parasitic
agree.
bomb damage nerf.
I would buff the Viking too.
I will roll the Viking.
Like
It would need to be a slight.
I think
very
a,
slight buff.
a very
Yeah, that's
small
okay.
buff, like 5 HP, 10, maybe pushing it. Like it depends on how the ZVP or the TVP meta goes for that. I think,
Like
right?
they
That's what
buff
we're talking
they buff the Hydra by 10 HP, and Hydra is like way more spammable unit than a Viking. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like I don't see the huge deal by buffing the Viking with 10 HP.
yeah.
Well, we're saying we're okay with the buff.
Yeah,
You literally you
you're
say
right.
5 HP.
No, we said 10, 15.
I
no?
said 5 to
said
10. No, I said 5 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
And you're just saying that you
either
can.
5, maybe
let's
10.
be real, it's gonna be if something's gonna be.
Ah, but the idea is there. They will
Yeah.
decide.
Yes,
Like, we thought
we're
also
open to a Viking buff. I'm not giving an exact number.
Okay.
Jake has not decided. I'm not
Jack.
the balance team. So that's our TVZ meta conclusion.
Yeah, I think just Parasitic Bomb and Viking interacts is the main thing.
What's our ZVP conclusion? That it's fine.
No, it's not.
Mothership recall.
Yeah,
okay,
if it was up to you guys, we would change nothing except nerf the recall. No, what I want to say about PvZ is that I honestly don't know. Like, I don't want to make it too easy for Protoss to survive. It would be kind of retarded. But I'm not sure like what we could change to make it like.
Did you nerf the Overlord draw?
honestly don't think Zerg versus Protoss is
No?
a trouble.
41%.
It's not that.
What does that have to do
If
with
they
anything?
make a wall,
I don't
you
think-
can't
Exactly,
attack
good
that
chance.
Overlord.
Okay,
You
I
just
don't
can't do
think
anything with it.
that Protoss has a real hard time surviving right now.
I think they do.
Okay, and against what?
Against everything. Like, I'm just gonna repeat the opening statement I did. Don't roll your head.
Against
Sure,
everything.
Okay, wait.
Like-
Just let him talk.
you can't probe as safely as before because otherwise you'd die to a ton of things. She kills like Zest just like this, making Ravager, just killing Zest when he was spamming Immortal out of Turbo and Catalyst on 44 probes.
Wait.
That was completely
No,
insane.
he beat me.
Yeah, he beat her.
Oh,
He
but
destroyed me.
before that, you lost some.
SOS.
Yeah, you
SOS?
won against someone. Maybe.
SOS.
Yeah, against SOS. Yeah.
But Zest already came up with a
yeah,
counter.
that was a different
Yes,
game.
on his counter was saying on 44 probes, making 2 robots before knowing it was coming. It was a huge blind counter, and that's the point. I don't like that you have to play build orders that are tailored to counter certain playstyle.
So you would like to be able to just do your same thing and have it counter things.
I would have to not be so obvious about it, and have kind of a middle road. I don't know what I could do. Like I was thinking of something that obviously can be done, like make the shield battery build faster, so that you can have actually real resources, because really often like they don't come out in time. But obviously in other matchup, like in PvT, it would be fucking insane to make the shield battery build faster. So that's not viable. But in general, you have to be kind of gimmicky in what you do. Like really often when you just do a pressure, then like the Zerg just defend this with fortress. Then he has like 15 more workers than you.
I don't think the direction that you want to take PvZ is a good idea.
And I think
What you're suggesting, I think, is that you would like to be able to play more blindly. In my opinion,
Yeah.
that's basically
yes,
what you're
like
saying.
the Zerg.
But Zerg can't play
Zerg
blindly.
don't play blindly.
We can't.
We can't anymore. You're not taking a third base. Like anything could come to us. We can't drone on the third base anymore.
And you yeah, because like I can be more aggressive right now because I feel like I was too nice when you first talked about it. But like when I watch Scarlet play, you don't even send an overseer to the Protoss space. You don't care. You make roaches and 60 drones. Then it's like you just hold everything.
Yeah,
It's
but Roach
so
is
insane.
really, really bad. Like
No.
we really.
Vico is spoken.
Let's go, Vico.
I agree before. I agree
You go,
before.
boy.
When we were spamming Hydras, they are
Yeah.
great. Mid game, you need great. Late game, and we were spamming them blindly. Like it was a bit broken.
Yeah.
But we really don't want to make roaches. We make roaches
It's
because
a
we are
mistake.
afraid.
If you wanna
Yeah.
lose, you make
Like
roaches.
because it's so hard to scout with Zerg, we need to make roaches. They are like really bad,
really,
but
really
we're forced
often
to.
what happens is that you're gonna drone a lot, you're gonna make roaches, and it's gonna feel like shit. But behind it, the Protoss is he has 44 workers, and he starts probing once he has his first done.
Yeah, but if
Like-
you played greedy behind it, and we have roaches,
On your counter, you kill me.
You already move, you win the game.
Like that happens so often, and the reason we don't see it in tournaments is because they're always playing these builds where it's like I make 2 robo on a third. Like the fact that this build exists is an insult, honestly. It's just like to try to counter like roaches all in. That's all it is.
You can make like. I don't know.
I mean, like sure, you can play it in a macro game if the guy doesn't know it's double robo, but like if the guy scouts
Okay,
it somehow.
alright, we're getting sidetracked here. My point was to try and offer
but that's the
something
thing.
to the balance team.
Like I don't know, like ideally it would be something that makes it so that we don't have to open Stargate every game and make it like a little bit safer, you know, so we can't just play blindly every game. because
What
obviously that
about
would be bad.
Ravager being a layer tech unit?
That's the
Big what?
Like that was an absolutely insane thing to say.
Why? What did you say?
Ravager being a layer tech unit.
What?
A layer
Ravager.
tech unit. Ravager
Huh?
layers.
What?
Ravager is a layer tech unit.
They force field the ramp, the game's over.
Okay, so that change would be pretty insane.
I mean,
But does it ever make the
like not only like I don't know if it will be insane
Not
or
against
not, but I don't
activates
think it
all
will
in.
change that much. It will make pretty much it only make like the all in a bit more expensive because you know what they do when they rush any of the Zergs? They make a fake layer, then they cancel it when the Oracle goes away.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
they do.
like if like for example, if you open Colossus,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like 5 adept, take our third, you got Colossus, and you couldn't do the Colossus, and the guy went for like fake layer of Mass Roach, you're instantly dead.
Wait, is this a build?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it is.
can
It
we?
Solar used it.
Yeah.
Versus
I
Zero.
used it.
We're not going back into debating ZVP again. Like my point is, we're trying to offer some change that we can all decide whether we think is a good or bad idea for the
I
balance
don't
team.
think we
I
agree
don't
on
know. Like I
anything.
think the mashup, like you know, on maps that are like neon violet or backwater, like honestly, Protoss is like you can feel the difference in build order. When the Protoss can just take a third, like sometime on backwater we make like 3 Oracle and we just spend the entire game harassing. It's so good for Protoss. Like
I feel like it's impossible to play on backwater.
Yeah.
That's Zerg if you don't install it.
Yeah, like it's a matchup that's really affected by the map because every inches you can get away with to be more greedier as Protoss makes you like so much stronger. So maybe we should like changing the map is like a cop-out answer. Like I honestly don't know like what we could do to make it a little bit, just a little bit dog, a little bit safer for
I don't
Protoss
think
to
any
probe.
like
But-
any reason for a little change. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if you're asking for something tiny, I feel like it's
Like what
a
are
little
you
bit
asking
unnecessary.
for?
Yeah,
Like some things so that Zest doesn't die to like a 20 drone all in over and over, even when he prepares just because he missed micro one time. Like Protoss dies to him constantly and it's gonna keep happening.
Zest got unlucky in multiple situations where he just missed the
Yes,
scout on it.
we Protoss tend to be
Wait,
unlucky a
are you
lot
talking
recently.
Well, it's like the problem is if you make easier to defend in all in survival,
yeah.
we don't have harass. We can either defend or we can all in. We can't really harass you. Like there's so few options for actual harass without just committing to try and kill the Protoss.
Oh.
What about bailing drops?
I mean,
What?
that's a
Bailing
good point.
That's
Like,
like
we have an
Way
oracle.
later, and people don't even do this anymore.
Yeah, bailing drops are out of the
They're dead.
meta.
Oh wait, I actually disagree. I think bailing drop are amazing, and guys, I'm not doing it enough often enough. We don't have a Mothership core. What's stopping you
Yeah, I
from doing
completely
bailing
agree
drop?
with Protoss.
Stalkers.
Because you don't make over.
XD.
We don't make overless
Steve,
speed.
I'm
leaving
not even
stalkers
gonna
in our
answer.
base.
I'm not even gonna answer to
Okay.
that.
Because the reason they were good is because people were already opening overload speed. They were going bailings for hide your bait. Now we
Mhm.
don't make overload speed. We don't make bailing
Okay.
list.
That's the problem.
I mean,
You shouldn't be able to scout for free.
What?
You
But
do it
we
in both
don't
matches.
scout, like, that's the problem.
You do a scout against Terran for free with the new overload.
In early game, I mean, we need some
After you
scouting
make the
because we have
Viking,
a
you can
wall.
make
That's not the point of this discussion. We've been talking for
I mean,
2
that's how-
hours.
that's-
This should have been brought up during the race
I
discussion.
just remember now.
That Overlord should be
They
worse.
got buffed for no reason.
Deleted.
No, they actually got buffed for no reason.
Well,
That patch.
it was because they got nerfed at the start of Legacy.
Yeah,
Without-
that buff is
unintentionally.
completely irrelevant for this. It's mostly for ZVC.
No,
Yeah,
but-
it was
The buff was
easy.
for-
yeah, and then the being
like-
more important.
Like
CVT,
you have to
CVT,
you have
and-
to like admit though, like from my perspective, like really often
Wait,
it's
why?
like,
ZVT you can still
Wait,
snipe
hey,
the
Jake?
Overlord in the middle of the
Jake,
map.
let Joe
Yeah.
finish.
like really often it's like, oh, as Zerg we can't do that anymore, we can't do that anymore. But like I feel like when a Zerg says that, it means a very different thing than when a Terran or Protoss says that, because I still see Soul going 5-star rallies like on other games every game, and on several one this is shot I'm going overload speed. So I still feel like there's a lot of stuff Zerg can do, and just because some player prefer a certain style doesn't really mean that what they don't do is not
Exactly.
viable.
Yeah, you can still go adapt opening against Zerg with no Stargate. You can still go DT drop.
With
It's
no
just-
Stargate, you can't. I've never seen that. Like
You can go
we don't
adapt-
not open Stargate anymore. It's not a thing.
You can go adapt into double Stargate.
Anyway,
Like it's still a build.
what I
It's
was
not
saying
common, but it's still a build.
about like
Just like what the Zerg do.
But it's still a build, but we have not seen it in tournaments. What I just mentioned is stuff we have seen in
Yeah,
tournaments.
I've played against this in tournaments myself.
I think we're missing the point of what we're trying to talk about, which is offering some proposition to
Solutions.
Blizzard.
well,
Like
I,
where our discussion is already over.
I think it's a really hard problem to fix. So,
So
I
there's
don't
no
have,
offer. There's no.
I
For
think
ZVP,
We
I'm
don't agree that
there's
it's-
nothing I would buff that wouldn't make it broken for Protoss.
against
Okay.
Terran.
Okay, I think I have an idea. You could drastically cut the battery build time, but Papi is gonna jump at me and say, Proxy Tempest! No. You should be able to build the battery within the range of a Nexus. So you can't use it offensively, but you can hold the Zerg shit.
I would agree with that.
What
I
about
think
that?
I think that would be a very interesting change. That could
Yeah.
be very reasonable.
Like using battery offensively is retarded. Like
I think that it
Fuck that.
that is something that is insanely strong if you use it offensively. If you buff the
Yeah.
length of production, like it's already really strong. And we've already seen even against Zerg. There's this really crazy like 4-gate with
That's
proxy.
not that good.
Mm.
It would be really good if it was half time
Yeah,
being
so
built
like-
though.
Like even then, even if you build it half time, you have to be careful though, because there's a lot of aggressive build by Terran, where if I can just get my shield battery in time, they're completely dead. Like even that would be amazing. Like it would be amazing, but it
It's
might
too strong,
it might
no?
even that it would be a bit too strong.
Like we can't attack anymore. It means like early on in the game, if this happens.
Oh,
Yeah, that's-
Welcome to Terran
I
World.
mean, you can.
No,
Well,
but
already right now, like
Zerg
any-
launches, like if you have shield batteries already like 5 ready or 4, like if you, well, it's like 40 seconds right now, 35. How much is it now?
It's a
I
pretty
guess it
long
depends
time.
on how far we would want their Nexus, you know, production, like
Oh, it
place
has
to
to be
build.
like the base at least.
If it's like right next to the Nexus, then
Because we have a problem on maps like Catalyst, for example, where the third is pretty far from the natural. If you want to put like batteries in between, like if it's within the range of a Nexus, maybe it's too far.
Could you make it like 2 seconds shorter without making proxy voiding
No.
too strong? No.
anything
But you can
above
make
that,
the-
and it's
You can make
proxy.
the range pretty big because like if
I-
you go proxy 10
All right,
past,
I think
the next is so far away.
I think we're just gonna keep going in circles. I think that your
No, I have
Battery is interesting. We haven't really
I,
discussed the battery.
I had my,
We
my
don't have to end it early.
yeah, and but I had my closing thoughts about the Overlord.
Overall?
Yes,
Okay.
like before I remember this against
Sure, man.
Protoss, they will make Overlord speed like almost every game, right?
Yes.
Same against Terran. So you're telling me that that little buff means nothing when they use
I
now
think
don't
the,
make
I
the
think the meta has changed.
no, it's
Yes,
just
it
they
has.
buff the
But
Overlord.
they open Phoenix every time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even send our second overlords on
Okay,
the
but
map,
against
they just
Terran,
die.
what about against Terran?
Against Terran, we lose our overlords
Yeah,
in
you
the
make
middle
a
of the map to
Viking
Marine.
also.
Okay, but
Every
why would they make Overlord speed like almost every game before?
I mean, we sacrifice the Overlord for information. We don't
Not
get the
everyone did that.
information for free.
almost
right?
everyone that was very good against Terran will do that. Yes.
So what is your
Rogue,
point? You think the
Dark.
slight nerf or the slight buff to the
So, yes.
speed, even though the overlord can still die to a Marine first on the map, is
Yes.
the problem?
It is
Ah, but
a
Papi,
big-
right now, we don't actually use overlords early on in the game. We don't use them. Like,
so you
because
can
there's
use on
the
scout?
Viking and there's the Phoenix. We only use the first one, we sack it, and the rest of the overlords are around our bases.
Like
and
overlords,
not
yeah,
even on the
but
edge.
We
before-
totally need that.
the
And
meta has
Yeah.
shifted. I think the overlord speed thing was like not really good.
Okay, this is interesting though,
unnecessary.
because I think the kind of statement, it was just bad in general, is kind of a silly thing to say. Obviously, if people were doing it because it was good. And also, interestingly, in the meta game now, we really often go Phoenix first. And one of the reasons for that is that we really need to hide what we're doing. Like, it's really important. And the meta game shifts to that, where the Protoss needs to hide what he's doing, whereas before, it didn't really care. Like, I was hoping like 2 Oracle, then a Phoenix before. I didn't really give a fuck what we're doing. But now, it's really important they don't know. And I don't really like the metagame in StarCraft when it's about build order choices and like countering because the guy doesn't know
like
what they're doing.
you space like they buff the Overlord.
You like my point is if we revert the overlord back to the old overlord, nothing will change. No one's
Yeah,
gonna
it
get
would.
overlord
Everyone
speed.
will make. Yeah, they would.
Would anyone
Just
get
you can
overlord
snipe
speed?
it with the Marines basically early on faster.
No, that was
Yes,
never the
that
problem.
is a
yeah,
huge
that's
thing.
the
They
only
did,
thing.
they did
No
buff
one
it.
had overlord speed at that fast is the point.
They
The
didn't
first
buff it.
overlord gets to the spot, right?
But
Then
you-
you get overlord speed and you go in, right?
You literally said they-
Listen to me. Listen to me, okay?
no.
Just listen to what I'm saying. So your overlord gets to the spot, let's say at the net where it's hidden, right? Or like you can't
Yeah.
kill it. You would get overlord speed from that point and fly in, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference if this overlord's here or if it's in the middle of the map somewhere here and you get overlord speed, fly it in?
I don't think it really changes much.
It doesn't change anything.
It does change a
It
lot.
doesn't change
Like
anything.
why? Like
Like
how?
for example, let's say
The
you
biggest
know.
thing is this changes
Like,
Yeah,
so
let
let,
me
let
finish.
Smoke finish.
huge, so heavily.
So now you know how every time will open like Reaper Marine.
Yeah.
So now when you sack your Overlord, you actually get all the information no matter what.
Okay.
But before you wouldn't get the information, like
Yeah.
what was doing behind. I could be doing 3CC or like I don't know, like now would be like Ghost for example. Or I could
I
be
think
just
we should be able to scout if we
Yeah, we-
sacrifice
We
an
have to
overlord.
spend
The
like
thing-
100 gas and
Otherwise
100
it's a
minerals
gamble, like-
and 100 minerals on an overlord to be able to get an
it's not
information.
100.
Wait.
It's 100 gas for overlord
I mean,
speed.
but it's an amazing upgrade.
Yeah, but early on
It's
in the
too
game it's
early.
insane. It's so
Like, we-
expensive.
I think people used to die to like Hellbats and stuff,
Yes.
even though they're scouting for Hellbats, they would die to the Hellbats.
It's
because they
very,
invested
very,
into
very
it.
hard to defend Hellbats with overlord.
Like,
It's
we don't have
hard, but
gas
it's not
early on in the
impossible,
game.
like, saying
It's really hard.
I
Yeah,
know
but it's way harder to defend it than to execute the build order. Like,
Like
it's
the-
not
yeah, but
hard
it
to
is the
build
same
Hellbat
for
on.
like for example the Ravager Lingle in it's way easy to execute for defense. It's like the same thing.
No. But the point is, like, when you're going overlord speed to scout for the all-in, and then you scout it, and
You
then
get
you die
behind.
to it because you've invested into the scouting for that. It's just like, well,
It was just silly in the past when you could sacrifice an overlord and it's just random if they put their tech where you're sending it to.
yeah.
And now it's more consistent. If you sacrifice it, you'll see their base. Before it was you sacrifice it, you maybe see the tech, you maybe don't.
I'm sure,
I
yeah.
just feel like
Gamble.
if you remove if every Zerg under
Nobody's
Mobile,
complaining about overlord. You're all like,
no,
Okay,
it's an actual
well,
problem.
I-
Do you think it's a problem? That they use
not
buff-
as big as you think it is, but
I-
it's,
I
it's a common complaint for Terrans, I think, because like
it's
that-
frustrating, I guess, but
no, but like it's just about the investment, you know, like.
Before
We
you
think you should make an investment to scout, and now
But
you
it's-
the scout is
Yeah,
yeah, but
guaranteed.
like
That's the
if
point.
we do it, like the investment he's asking for is like huge. Like it's
No, but like
100
you're forgetting that you're not just scouting. You're not making overlord speed for one overlord. All your overlords are speed the
yeah,
entire
but we
game.
don't need it at that stage of the game. It's such an investment. A
It does
huge
nothing
investment.
for like 5 minutes.
There
Let
are
alone one
things
scout.
like
what?
you could see if it's mech or bio, for example, which
we
is
already
pretty
see
hard
that,
now.
though.
if it's
Oh,
You scout with lanes.
Yeah.
It's
but
very
like
easy to
if,
scout
if,
with
if
lanes.
there's hellions, you can't scout them. If you don't
They
build
said
them.
there's
more than
hellions on
6.
the map.
Yeah.
Like they never just make 6 hellions, leave them at home the entire game.
some
You could leave
people
There's
two at home
you
and a
watch
marine
for
and
the-
you make a wall. Like no, the point is that it's not just you're not making overlord speed for one overlord.
Or
You
like-
have them the entire game.
like
You
back-
could do drops. Like there's a lot of
Yeah, but
uses
it's
to
too
it.
early into the game.
Okay,
Like,
Viking.
what you're
the,
asking,
the,
the
first,
money-
the first Viking would. The first Viking is way weaker if you have overlord speed. than
We
it.
still make overload speed when we feel we need it in the mid game. Like we
What,
just
what about the first Viking that you guys complain?
My point is, if we nerf this, no one's getting overlord speed like you think they will.
No,
I think they would.
They
I don't
would.
think they would.
They would.
They would just use Zerglings more, and we wouldn't.
No.
see
I don't think it will be to our advantage. We get the information and we're still behind because we invested so much into it.
Exactly, that's my point.
That's sick.
I
So,
think
like-
Zergardia is not favorite of the game. It would just make it way worse for Zerg. Like it costs so much to make overlord speed.
Yeah, I don't understand what the point of this is. Do you think it's we're getting away with
Like you do
Yeah,
too
damage.
much
just, no?
scouting or what?
Yeah, it feels like.
But what do you guys want to do? Just kill us more in the
Yeah.
of the game?
No, like
Well, you make
we want to not get into the later stages of the game in a bad position.
So you would like to kill us more?
Well, you just want to be
No,
way ahead
that's-
going into late game.
that's not what I said at all.
What is your?
So you just want us to
So,
start
so
from
if you
behind,
make overlord
basically.
speed, you're calling quits.
No,
right?
like
Be
it
behind
feels-
from the start so you have a chance in the late game. But we were just trying to fix the late game
Yeah,
right
if we
now.
fix the
No,
late game,
like-
we don't need to be as much of an advantage early game.
Yeah, I guess so, but it feels like even in the mid game, a lot of the time we're at a disadvantage.
But you can never die mid game. Like it's so hard to die.
As Terran? Yeah, but same as Zerg. You can't,
Oh.
you can't hard to that.
Okay. I
How
think, I think
many
There is
times-
position where you actually
think
can
this-
deal damage.
this whole talk is going into more. It's getting worse and worse for productivity.
Yeah, we should order food right
We
now.
can take some questions from the chat.
No. So we were on the point of like making points to what we think would be
Yeah.
a good move for the balance.
As a Terran player, watching you guys discuss CVP is really weird because, like, the way you guys talk, it feels like it's a 50-50.
Yes.
And when I watch pro games, it kind of feels like that, but the win rate suggests this is like some Broodlord Infestor level shit favored for Zerg.
right now,
like,
though,
no.
I don't
Yeah.
think I know how.
You think 41% is not bad for Protoss?
I don't think there's been enough.
41%.
I know, if it was
Whoa.
41% the overall
Hey,
round,
hey,
we would be
what
like
are
All right,
dead.
we're descending into what we don't want to do. Like, which is just getting really clusterfucky. I think.
Why is that?
Do you think
Why
there's
is
been
that?
enough time since the Hydra split to say that it's 41%?
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Like,
it's still
I
like
agree.
that.
Before the Hydra split, there was an issue with Hydras. I think all of us agree that Hydras were too strong back then. But
Those
I think
stats
as
are
we're
since when those stats? 41%.
What?
The new
Like
season?
back then,
Like the last 2 months.
you had to really fight it to get people to admit that
I mean, it
Hydra
got
was so strong.
nerfed.
Yeah, and then afterwards we were like, oh, we were all down with it, but the entirety population of the Zerg was not happy with the Hydra.
And I'm just
What is
saying,
the
as
point
a
of this
Terran player, for me,
talk?
it's just really weird. Because, like, if, like, even PvT for us feels like it's terrible, and it's like, I don't know, 46% or something. So when something is 41, it feels like something should be completely terrible.
But
So
in
for
a
me,
high-level
I don't really understand.
But
we don't see that in
my-
high-level tournaments though. It's a Ligulac is not is so
Don't
many
we?
weekly cups
Does
Yeah,
it-
yeah, yeah.
are irrelevant.
I mean,
to pro level.
Didn't Zerg win like
But
the last
still,
3 or
right?
4 tournaments?
What?
But still, it's a
And
pretty
it's-
insane win rate, no?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, PvZ right
80%
now
of the
is
time.
like 50 shade of die to Zerg all in, pretty much. So I think a battery change would, like what I suggested earlier, should be pretty good. I think.
I think that's an interesting decision. I do think that
Yeah,
offensively
interesting.
the battery can't be changed. It's strong.
I
It would be stronger.
I don't think it should ever be able to be used offensively.
Yeah, I don't think it should either.
Because like usually like the battery was pretty useless. It's just idle call in just because they have too much damage, you know. So like it didn't really matter if a unit survived for a bit longer. Like it was completely useless. This is Roachers based stuff. It's more useful, but usually you run into the problem that you don't have enough units to like do the DPS. But I think like with a faster battery, I don't know honestly. Like right now I'm really clueless. Like this might be completely useless. This might be way too strong.
As
The
a
faster
Terran, it
battery.
scares me.
Yeah, this might make it way too easy. That's what's so tricky, honestly.
Is there any other build other than, I guess, defensive that you're saying is too strong?
Yeah, defensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if we do any push with Cyclone or even some Marauder builds, if they see it and you make a battery and like I don't know what
Oh,
change
yeah,
you're
that-
supposing
It's
it,
already like that,
Like
though, isn't
it will
No,
kill
no,
a lot
no,
of
no.
builds.
It takes
So
yeah,
a faster
time.
battery. in
like
PvT.
anything that attacks a Protoss pretty much, besides like I don't know, Hellion drop or something that comes in the back, it'll be completely gone.
I feel like in ZVP the battery isn't in a really bad spot. I feel like even I'm a really aggressive Zerg and I feel like the battery gets up in time to defend most of the builds I'm doing. Like as long as you have some scouting whatsoever.
Like
pretty
the
long.
battery is really useful in the really early game. For like the really fast stuff, the battery is very great. As soon as you enter in the mid game, like it kind of gets a bit more useless. Whereas like when you compare it versus Terran, like having free battery in a fight is amazing. Like they go for a Viking all in,
Yeah, your
like-
Colossus don't have-
and you just like manually click on the colors of the battery. Like you can win a fight with so much less supply. It's actually insane. But this is in the mid game. It never feels like you have battery. They don't like the banelings still explodes. The lurkers still kill your stuff. I don't know. It feels like a lot less useful.
I think
it depends on the
So you
units.
would say the Zerg army is better than the Terran army against Protoss?
No, I would not say that. Like, it would not be.
I think it's about the units you use. Like if you played against Terran, it's not like the batteries will help your zealot that much, you know. Like if you're healing one Colossus, it's like it just makes it a super Colossus. But against Zerg, you don't really make units like that.
Come on.
Like you have immortal. It was the only thing I was thinking about. Like.
Well, you also make it against Terran, so.
Okay, so what did this whole huge conversation lead us to?
We're just sharing costs.
Zerg
Yeah,
in
but like,
Bao.
my-
Why does Charge Lotolin kill roaches?
You're still dying to charge Lotolins in 2K18.
I still die to them. Every Zerg dies to them.
Like it feels like that's what I was saying. As a Terran, like this, I don't understand this, but no one can agree with each other. Like I haven't heard anything conclusive.
I think we
so.
should wait for BBC.
I think we need to wait.
I
too.
think
The Hydra
the
change
shield
was
battery
really
thing
big. It
sounded
was 2
kind of
weeks
good,
ago.
but
I think the Hydra change is a really big thing, and there needs to be some more time for.
Like for me personally, my win rate in PvZ increased a lot
But like-
since the change.
Like even in the past
but I
week,
still die to some random.
Like,
But, like,
I'm just saying, like even when we look at the champions and stuff like that, like the Zerg championships are not based off the back of Hydras. It's of crazy shit. You know, like I just think we need more time to see
What?
the meta.
But that's what I
What
don't
about
understand. Like what you would say
Ro-
would
that
be
was before the change. Though.
like wait,
Okay, Sarah.
I don't get it though.
That
Like
was before
shouldn't what you say be relevant if suddenly the Protoss were winning a
It's been
lot
2
and we
weeks.
would be like, hey, it's been a while since the Hydra nerf, so we need to figure out. Like after the nerf, it's still 41%, so we don't need to get time views. Like I
Are
will
we
get
using
your
a
arguments.
Legulac for this?
We can tournaments too.
We're using it when it's 41%, and we're using it when Zerg are winning tournaments.
So you think we shouldn't give it time?
There's
and
been
that
one tournament.
Zerg is too strong. Right
No, like the giving time argument usually would work only if Protoss was suddenly winning a lot.
It's been 2 weeks and a major change in the matchup. Like there's been new
Like, the
builders in
Hydra
the past like
split-
3 days.
The Hydra
past
split was a
week, there's
pretty
been-
huge deal.
The meta completely changed in the past week, or partially changed.
I think we
I mean,
really.
I think we need time, honestly. Like,
I really
we can't
think we
judge
need
right
time.
now. It can move like anyways.
Even at the start of Legacy, it was the same thing. Like Zerg was strong, and then Protoss would get strong like a month later, and nothing would change in the balance.
Yeah,
Just
you
we
need a
just
better
need
understanding
time.
of what's
Like,
possible.
in general, like I don't feel like we should like look because like if we spend 1 hour talking about the balance of January 2017, I mean 16.
I'm just saying it was 2
I'm
weeks
getting
ago, it was
hungry,
a
guys.
change.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I think
All
we
right.
I think we
should
should finish.
Sit
So
down,
ZVP,
This is an important meeting.
I
Yeah?
like
Sit down.
we don't really have any
We have
concrete
no-
suggestions,
Oh,
but
we
we
have no
do.
arguments,
It's, we
apparently.
at this current time we agree that there's something wrong. We can't tell if it'll be changed with time or what, but we don't also have anything to contribute, right?
Mm.
In ZVP, we don't have any like options besides maybe doing some sort of shield battery buff that can't be used offensively. But I still feel like that it's a pretty interesting thing for the early game. I really don't know.
It would have to be very slight if there's a ship on your buff. Like, to not kill it all.
As for last matchup, I don't even remember what matchup we
PvT.
did.
That's
PvP.
TVP, yeah.
Yeah.
TVP.
Yeah, like TVP, like all of the things that Major talked about were fine. Like I think we're all in agreement in TVP. At least.
Yeah.
Which is
Well, the main one was the Colossus revert, I guess.
yes.
Or partially reverted.
Yeah.
So it's not even, but like less of a gap.
A revert, yeah.
And Viking buff too.
Yeah, what about TBT actually? Because you guys have.
That was
Yeah,
we discussed that
the
already.
Raven.
Well, we didn't really.
Okay.
So what do you
Like
suggest in
it's
TVT?
Poppy, come. It's
TBT.
I think it's honestly really hard because basically what happens is you make mass cyclones because cyclones allow you to be too greedy in TVT because Terran doesn't really have a unit that counters a cyclone early on, right? So you make 2 cyclones, you build your 3rd allocation without really having any units, and then Mech doesn't have any counter against Sky Terran. Like Thors against Liberators is kind of funny. If the Liberators have range, Thors get completely destroyed, and then it's mass air. But it feels like it's kind of a combination of everything, you know. Like I couldn't tell you nerf cyclones or nerf liberators or whatever. Like it's really complicated.
So we don't have any.
It's just cyclone openings are too strong, partially.
Yeah, but like I don't think you can really nerf the cyclone.
What if you just decrease the build time?
You can. What do you mean?
Decrease the build time?
Of the
Increase,
cyclone?
increase the hope.
Or what if it?
Make it even
You-
more.
Yeah.
You meant increase the build time on the cyclone.
I'm
Well,
wanting
no.
I'm
Why
wanting
would
you
we
guys.
increase the build time if we're already massing them?
Wait, what? The problem is that
Yeah.
everyone just goes cyclone. So why
Yeah.
would you buff it?
It's like the
I
safest.
said decrease.
You said
Yeah, decrease is bad.
decreasing the build time.
Decrease makes
the
it build faster. More cyclones.
Oh, okay, I meant increase. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's a-
brain farted.
That's
about
a
that.
nerf. You don't want to nerf it
Yes.
because you need it against other stuff
Like what?
like Protoss.
Do you need the cyclone in TVP?
like
Yes,
it's-
I think the Cyclone will fuck Terran in TVP. Like,
Do they usually use it on reactor in TVP?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes.
Even I think the current Cyclone builds against Zerg are fine. Like I don't think they're too weak. I don't think they're too strong.
Yeah, there's Cyclones against Zerg, Cyclones against Protoss.
So then, how would you change it to in TVT?
I'm actually not sure.
Make a cap
Do you
of
have
how
any
many
ideas?
cyclones you can make.
No, like it's actually really hard. It's like everything
I-
kind of.
I think, yeah.
Like you can touch the cycle.
You can have
No,
one
but we're
mothership, you
trying
can
to
have 8
propose
cyclones.
things in TVT.
Like,
like,
there's
I'm
things
not-
you could do like making
You
Torrent
should
better,
be the
but
balance
then
team, but-
The Orient
like
better.
good lords get fucked, things like that. So
You
it's
just get
too
fucked.
hard. Yeah.
Like you could nerf the range of the Liberator, but then like that's worse against Protoss. Like
It's kind of a combination of everything.
So,
So
we
unless
have
you-
nothing to offer in TVT?
I think currently in balance we're kind of
Yeah.
constricted really hard anyway.
Yeah.
Like in, like Protoss is struggling against Zerg, but Terran struggling against Protoss, so you can't really buff Protoss at the same time, and then we have the problems with all our mech units owning each other. Like it's, I feel like we're really constricted right now. Like
I mean,
it's
in
really-
general, I say that, as an advice for you, Terrans. The last time we complained to Blizzard about the mirror matchup, we got our Void Ray nerfed. That's literally why the Void Ray nerf happened. It was because of PvP. And I regret that every single day.
Wasn't really good at proxy void ray too. Like it would be completely broken right now with the shell
Yeah.
batteries.
No, like
Void
the,
Ray is
the
still
problem was like the carrier.
Yeah,
void
carry,
ray.
immortal void ray. and
Yeah,
carrier.
can. And we got the void ray nerf, and now you're so sad when you chase an overlord. It's so sad.
Yeah, but I feel like it would have gotten nerfed anyway, because right now it's just a Cyclone. The fact that I can just boost and chase the Cyclone makes me very angry sometimes. But I feel like if it was the case, I feel like it would be too strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any final thoughts on this?
I don't
We've been
think-
talking for like 2 hours.
I don't think we have any changes for TVT, but just like
What
something
oh,
to think about.
Do we not think that the Raven should be changed in TVT at all?
Oh, is it changed the
Even if you
Well,
change it, doesn't change
we
anything.
talked about that. combined,
Maybe
no?
like
Like
some change, less damage, less
remove
speed.
the damage, things
Yeah,
like
but it
that.
wouldn't change
Maybe less
anything.
damage.
It will still be the same.
But in
Less than
general,
removing the
the
damage
Raven
is-
is really
Yeah, but the
not
fights would
the
be
main
easier
issue.
to handle.
Okay.
It would be as messy and random.
I think lessening or removing the damage is something to consider.
I don't think you need to completely
Well,
remove
the
it,
Raven is really not the main issue in TBT though. Like there's people that just make Vikings and Liberators and it's kind of the same. It's all about the general
The
playstyle.
damage is an issue in TVT.
No,
Not too much, I think.
too much.
Like,
Like it is, but it's not.
But
like-
there's no randomness in it, is there? Like I thought the Raven actually puts randomness into the matchup
I
by
mean,
like not being able to split or like splitting incorrectly or.
I'm,
But if it's just like pure units against pure units, like fighting units,
I mean, then you also have the thing like if you have like 30 Liberators and 30 Vikings or whatever,
Yeah.
then a guy that gets the best splash with his Liberators also gets lucky.
Yeah,
you
but
know
that's
what I
like the
mean?
best splits, basically. Like you have time to react to that, no?
I feel like it's kind of like the good old days of Colossus against Colossus in PvP against the Swarm, where it was like people would be good at it, but it was always kind of random, like which Colossus would get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest splash. I had some Elias game coming back from behind just because like his Colossus would target like a random unit, on mine would be like
Yeah,
right
yeah,
in the middle.
exactly. Like it's really weird. Like TVT is like there's like 3 different meta changes that kind of ruined everything. I think.
So we don't have any offer to
There's,
change.
I think a Raven change would be a good start, but there would probably have to be another change.
Okay.
I don't see why.
Have we said everything?
I think Thor maybe a buff against.
Cry is getting all red!
I don't. I feel like a Thor buff has some real consequences in mech TVC already. It's really
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. They're
No
already
bueno.
like Muta is very
Like-
bad a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Well, it would be the
It would be the
single
other-
target though.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah.
Like they're not gonna.
Yeah,
I still don't like the idea of mech
Then you could just still
a
make
Thor buff.
Thors versus Britons.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not in mass. So,
I think this would have real unintentional side effects in TVC,
yeah.
and I
That's
don't think
why
it really helps the
in
situation.
PvT, I'm really happy. Like the Colossus change is so smart because it doesn't affect other matchups. Like in general, I was trying to think of, changes that don't affect other matchups because I said we're kind of constricted.
Mhm.
But like the Thor change, it'll have random consequences. So
I think
it's really
Raven,
cool.
like
Alright.
slight damage
Yeah.
reduction on the missile.
Someone suggested Collins. Next time we'll do Collins. That might be interesting.
No.
Yes. I like the idea. but
Terrible
we'll see what
idea.
happens. Has everything been said that we want to say? Anyone have any other suggestions?
We can have another great discussion about which race is the hardest.
No.
Right, guys?
Not Zerg.
Okay, so everyone's got everything they've wanted to say. Like this, we're gonna send this directly to the balance team. So
So what were you
Say
saying?
your thing
I
about
really,
Mothership.
I just want to say my closing thoughts. Then I have to
Okay.
play with
No,
someone.
but don't circle back to what was said.
yeah,
eh?
we already said everything.
Well,
we're
but,
gonna do.
you my closing
taking
thoughts.
things from chat. Questions from
Yeah,
chat.
but he wants to do closing thoughts.
Mm.
If you bring up anything,
Put
that's
highlights
what
on
we're
here.
gonna do.
I just want to say like, I understand that. I mean, I don't understand why you bring back the turret if you're gonna nerf it.
We've
because
talked
now
about
it's
the
not
turret.
used.
We've talked
I
about the
know.
Raven.
I'm just saying like,
We're
if
gonna
you
move on
if you
from
bring
this
it
point.
back, there, could you expect some usage of it? That's it.
Okay. Does anyone want to say?
I think everybody should have closing thoughts.
Yeah, like
Okay, Stefano, closing thoughts.
No, I actually don't have much to say. Like maybe Protoss is a bit weak. Like I don't play this playstyle exactly, so I wouldn't know how to say. For me, it's like mostly the late game is a bit effortless for the Protoss and very hard to engage for the Zerg. Which you will agree on.
Effortless. You're
No,
going
no,
a
no,
bit too
but
far, but
Like in terms of like making mistake for the Protoss, it's almost impossible to make a mistake. But for the Zerg,
like I can get my
like
tank off
feedback is instant, storm is instant, and you make it
fungal.
like that.
If you get your stuff feedback, it's your mistake. Fungal has more range. You should always be able to fungal my Templars.
Yeah, but it just makes
Yeah, but you don't
Vipers.
see- you
don't
don't-
make Vipers because Templar.
No, I feel like it's like way towards like the Protoss
These
side.
are people's
Okay.
closing thoughts.
Yeah, but that's it. Like for me, it's just like the fact that it's hard to engage into the late game Protoss.
Yeah.
Nico?
Yeah, I think Protoss late game is like I don't believe in the late game for Zerg versus Protoss versus Terran. Zerg late game is probably this.
No,
like, I mean, it's stronger.
it is.
Like Zerg late game feels very good.
Just
for
gotta
them,
squeeze
yeah.
it out of him.
It is. But versus Protoss, it's really I don't believe in late game. I stopped practicing it long time ago because it doesn't feel, same effort that Zerg needs to put in. It's totally different than what Protoss does right now. So I feel like it's way better to play mid game or early game as Zerg.
Mhm.
And another thing is that Thor counters Mutas a little bit too much. I think.
So Muta in TVZ doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any?
One more.
Mark, do you have a closing?
Just about Thors and Mutas? Or?
No, closing thoughts about our entire
Anything.
discussion. Just closing thoughts. We're going through everyone's closing thoughts.
I think I've already said what I want.
So you don't have any closing thoughts?
Just to reiterate, there's a problem with TVT, but you don't know what to fix yet.
No, like to me it feels impossible almost. Like,
Okay.
You
I-
think
I-
they should fix it, you just don't know how, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
like every game is mass spiking, it's random and boring. For like, even for people that like thoroughly games, like TVT is it's pretty stupid because it's not like a slow fight of attrition. It's just people do nothing and then you fight once and the game is over. So it's pretty terrible.
Adrian?
Adrian's closing thoughts.
Yeah, like the Colossus change, I think everyone agrees it's good. Then the battery change, I think is worth a try at least for PVZ. And yeah, that's it. Vote for me at Nation Wars and shout out to Optimus. That's it.
Nice try. It's not the time to do that though.
I don't care.
You took a risk.
Everyone at Blizzard's gonna vote for the
I agree with Miko a little bit that Thor is very, very strong against Mutas right now. Like, it almost kills Mutas in the matchup right now. The only reason you do it is because everyone goes blind tank, 2-factory tank.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I think Parasitic Bomb definitely is too strong against Vikings. Vikings are too very bad. And Zerg, I don't know. Like ZVP, I don't know what to do. Zerg definitely has an advantage early game and mid game, but it's very, very bad late game for most Zerg players.
Drogo, closing
I
statement.
mean, I pretty much like agree with Scarlet, like 100%. Like, I would say that late game. I mean, I rarely get to late game in PvZ, but usually when you do, you're in a pretty good spot as Protoss, and usually you win. The mid game, I feel like I don't even think the mid line. I personally believe that the advantage in the mid game for Zerg is just because like the early game usually turns out in their favor. Like not saying anything, like usually it does in my opinion, but like it's a very complicated thing to change, like without making Protoss too easy to play again. So I don't know really. I wish I could. I wish I could offer a solution. I mean, like with Mothership code, the game was so much easier.
I wouldn't.
Like, like with the Mothership code, the game was so much easier. It's actually insane.
I wouldn't be opposed to trying like a small shield battery buff. Small shield battery buff.
Alright, I think this went relatively well. It went better than I thought it would. I thought there'd be a lot more like, hey, this race is, circle jerky, but I think we all contributed something. I think some of our changes are very reasonable, right?
Can I ask about one more change?
Okay.
I was wondering what you guys think about the Marauder Reaper.
Yeah.
Because it's something pops up a lot in the Terran chat, and it seems like a pretty decent change because, as I said in PvP, one of the bigger problems is the armor counters bio too hard. Like the Marauders do no damage against armored stuff. Like if something has one more armor than you have attack, and there's a Guardian shield, Marauders do no damage at all. And in PvG you could make bio a bit better in the late game as well, I think.
But it's gonna
It
only
actually
trace
will do
them, no?
TVT too.
Huh?
It will help TVT.
Yeah, I think that might help TBT.
too.
I think it's.
It's gonna only trace non-Marauders if you
No, they will.
revert it.
Ultras.
Mm,
Already aren't utilized very well in my
not,
opinion.
not too much, I think.
No? Like, what do they have now? 13-13 or what? Against Armored, right?
Yeah, +3.
Yeah. Let's go to 26.
Yeah.
I think you can test it out.
I think it's something they should definitely
It's gonna be
look
like
into.
10 extra damage, no? Or something.
It might help out the cyclone situation.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's insane. Like,
Alright.
you're gonna be bio and just like kill
No, it's just
like
the
5
armor
extra
count.
damage.
Yeah.
Huh?
5
Armor
extra
count.
damage, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't.
Against Ultra.
Ultra has what? 7
500.
7 armor?
No, but like,
Yeah.
how much armor does Ultra have?
7.
7.
7. So
So
now
it
it does
does
like
7
6 each shot. And then it's gonna do like 20 each shot.
Wait, what?
No.
Right. Because it's one
No, it
shot.
does 6 times 2, so it does 12. And afterwards it'll do 19.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
I think it's something they should test though. I don't see why it would be something against.
I don't like the fact that bio would
Well,
counter
they-
like anything we would do.
They also don't need to make it do, get increased as much every upgrade then. So it wouldn't necessarily do 26, like if it did 23.
I don't know how it is for Protoss, but
Yeah. No, you can imagine. Like imagine something that hits twice, and your opponent has 3 more armor than you do.
yeah, okay.
Like it's pretty common that the Protoss has 3 armor when you have 1-1, and even if it's,
Really?
yeah, and even if it's 2-1, they will always have the Guardian shield with 2 more armor.
Like
Like Marauders do very little
it's
damage.
common if the Protoss is a big memer because at some point you're 0-2, and then you can either like get the +1, which is really cheap or really fast, or be a real dick and get the +3 armor. That's totally if you're pretty mean.
Okay. I think that's an interesting.
I thought that was a good
Interesting
suggestion.
thing.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you learned a lot. And that's it for us. We're gonna get to dinner. That's it. I'm not saying
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm fucking hungry. Are you hungry?
I'm hungry.
Are you hungry?
A little bit.
It's on the stream too. You made money and. paid
Oh,
for
do
it.
you want us to stream the feeding?
No.
Okay.
I mean, like the food is on stream. Like they bought it for us. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll probably do more of these, but yeah, we love you all.
We do this every day?
No.
We never